Welcome to the FATED ARPG podcast. We're on episode 129, finally 3 weeks past the Last Epoch release, which means we got plenty of time to explore the ins and outs of this new ARPG on the market. And today we're going to dissect it and compare it to what else is out there and see how it fares. What's our final verdict on this final release? And before we get into it, of course, guys, I know it's super cringe, and I know I don't interact a lot with stuff on the internet. I see something I like, I scroll past. I see something I don't like, I scroll past. I had to train myself to do this for the content, but please, for FATED, like, share, subscribe, help this out so it finds as many people as possible who could be interested in it. And if you're not interested in doing that, but you still want to help, you can purchase a paid subscription on Twitch, YouTube, or Patreon. And you will be shown on the end screen forever. You get your name in shining lights. Now, without further ado, we'll get into the episode. But today we got a little bit of a switch up because Balor Mage is on vacation. Enjoy your vacation, Balor Mage. But I myself, I'm a Last Epoch noob, right? I got like 230 hours in the game. So I really wanted to make sure that I get called out if I talk shit. So we got an experienced LE podcast host here to be there in this function. Welcome back, Dreadful. How are you doing today?
Hello, this is Dread, and yes, I'm happy to be back. Let's talk about some Last Epoch, shall we?
It's great that you're back on because I thought it was just a brilliant thing to have you before the launch, but now I want to contrast your prior to launch expectations to the actual experience and see whether our predictions were somewhat accurate. Yeah. And we're joined by none lesser than the one and only MB Extreme, who's known for extreme gambling content and some written guides here and there.
Wait. Am I?
Are you not?
Am I? Well, sometimes, but
every other video I see of yours is gambling.
I swear, I was just sitting here and just giggling a little bit because when you pulled up Dread and he was like doing his intro, it just reminds me on how much videos that I have watched from Dread over the past 2 or 3 weeks from the Last Epoch grind, you know? And I got this like, hello, and like, hey, shall we dive into the build guide and stuff? You know, I'm just sitting here like, yes, new build guide. Okay, enough of that.
Well, we got another guest that we're gonna bring on. Yeah, welcome. We're glad you're both here. But we want to welcome another person, and it's HFOG, who we've had on episode 100 before, and who's making his comeback. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you doing, guys? When you said you're a Last Epoch noob, you have over 200 hours. I'm even more noobs than you. I'm just a really casual gamer, as usual. I have less than 200 clocked in my Steam. But yes.
Well, when did you start playing, though? Now with release?
I started playing around 0.7. I've played here and there every
Okay, so you also played a lot before.
Nah, yeah. Not at all, not at all.
Well, a long time before. I started in 2019, but I don't know which version number it was.
I think the game has evolved a lot since I first started.
Absolutely.
Especially, like, even the graphics, the first moment you step into the new patch right now, and it looks very, very different even compared to 0.92. And I think everyone can agree that it just feels, looks, and plays a lot better, except for the server.
Yeah. I'm sure we're going to get into that. Since it's only your second time here on the podcast and not everyone is familiar with what you do you want to give yourself a quick intro? I don't want to misportray what you do, so it's probably best if we get your word on it.
I'm a Cantonese content creator for mostly ARPG stuff. I do mainly translation most of the time. I don't like to inject my input into my videos a lot, and I barely do any build guides as well. So but I do have my own podcast in Cantonese as well. That is the time where I inject my inputs or my feelings, all those stuff, which also a casual podcast enjoyer.
Sounds good. That's great. Well, now that we've given you an intro, though, like now I want to hear what would you say about yourself, Dreadful, for those who don't know you yet, in case there's anyone listening.
I play Last Epoch a little too much. I play it a little too much. I've been playing it over the past 4 years on the side. Whenever, on the off time of the PoE League, that's what I started. off doing is just playing Last Epoch, and then all of a sudden it grew and grew and grew into something that I can't control anymore. And I was like, screw it. We're just going to do Last Epoch then, I guess. And that's what I've been doing for the past 4 years.
Impressive. Yeah. No, I really think you've been doing a great job. And I have watched some of your content and found it very good and heard that also from different people. MB, quickly, is there something you want the people to know about you? That I don't misportray you as the gambler.
I like to play video games a lot, and that's what I do. And yeah, I'm happy with that, and that's pretty much it.
Fair assessment.
I'm the casual here, okay? The casual that plays too many hours.
Wait, how many hours did you clock in Last Epoch so far?
I have to check, but I think it's somewhere around like you said, like 200, 220 or something since the release. So quite a bit, I would say. On pretty much every day, a few hours. That's where I'm sitting at.
Yeah, for me it's like every other day, but then I try to do longer sessions. I don't know what you mean by a few hours. You probably outperform me by quite a bit.
Nah, man, I have a low stamina. My girlfriend tells me that the same all the time. The thing is, like, I don't last that long, you know. I do like, okay, let's say I do like.
Well, as long as you are quick to go again.
Let's say like 6-7 hours, like every day.
Okay, sounds about like what I do every other day. So.
It's kind of funny. People snipe my Steam. And they're like, they look at my recent, like they look how many hours I played of LE, and they like, oh, you only have 2,000 hours. Wow, you're pretty good. And I'm like, guys, like, there was a standalone client for like 3 years. I did not play Steam until 9.0. It's really funny.
Right. I remember now that you say it.
Yeah, that was the thing, wasn't it? Yeah. Sorry, Cat Master. So
no, go for it.
I think that you're right when you said that I played a bit more back then because of the standalone client. I completely forget about the game has a standalone client, and even before then, during the Kickstarter, they have some. Then they have changed the standalone client once or twice as well. But yeah, it has been quite a while. I've followed Last Epoch since the Kickstarter. I wasn't part of the Kickstarter. Like, I didn't join because I was just too stingy as an Asian. When did you guys actually start following Last Epoch? Was it like me as soon as the Kickstarter out, or even before, like some of them following since the Reddit post from then?
I was bought the game by a friend because him and we play Path of Exile, and I was bought Last Epoch. He's like, hey, you should try this out. And I've been freeloading ever since. I've actually bought the game. I did recently buy all the supporter pack stuff, though, so.
Well, I always think like content creators don't have to feel obliged to actually support the game that they're creating content for because they're actively advertising for the game, right? That as one way of supporting it. But that said,
I wanted my shinies, man.
Fair point. Same here for Path of Exile, but I do have to say that in Last Epoch so far, I didn't spend money yet, and I am not even running a bought version. I got that version gifted back then from the developers, like in 2019. I met Gazi at TwitchCon in Berlin, and then Gazi hooked me up with the devs because at the time they were looking for more exposure and feedback from streamers and content creators. And so they were like, hey, we give you this thing, you play a couple hours on stream, and we're happy, right?
In the end, we're all freeloaders in our own way.
Well, MB, did you freeload the game?
No, I actually bought it.
Oh my god, I'm so proud of you.
Yes, someone is with me.
A round of applause.
Because the topic started with like, when did you guys get into LE, right?
Yeah.
So basically, it was Path of Exile Affliction League, and at some point, you know, it's like, yeah, I'm got my challenges done, and I'm done with everything, right? And I'm like, man, what am I doing with my life? And then people are like, hey, you know, Last Epoch is about to launch in like early February or something. February out, and it was like January, and I was like, I mean, technically, I don't have anything to do anyways until 3/24, so let's just buy it, download it, and just give it a shot. And I will never forget my first steps where Dreadful took me by the hand and we walked this like little road to level 3 or something. No, I was actually level 5 or 6. And that was actually very great. Thanks for that again.
Yeah, anytime.
And this is basically how I got into. I put like about 50 hours into it. I got like 2 characters into like the empowered monolith, but I never did empowered monoliths because I said like I cannot like tunnel this game right now because in 2 weeks there's the official release. I want to keep some stuff for the actual release to keep grinding, you know. So I allowed myself to play because I really enjoyed it, and then I said like, okay, this is a stop line. We wait for the release and then we go hard. So that's kind of how I got in.
Yeah, I do.
The perfect time. Go ahead.
I do remember feeling a similar sentiment that I just like I don't want to like spend too much time playing this game before launch because I want to be hyped when the launch comes around and then play a lot then, right? But in retrospective, I probably would have done better if I played a little bit more in the past because I'm still in this.
Felt like that. Like there was like a prevailing, like what would you call it? What do you call it? Like a prevailing message around the community where people would come in. It's like, I want to play the game, but I'm waiting for multiplayer. And then like that came around. It's like, then I want to play the game, but I'm waiting for 1.0. And that was like a huge thing. Like it was a meme in the community. It's like, I want to play it, but like everyone would come in Twitch chat or whatever, or YouTube comments. Like, I want to play it, but you don't want to come till 1.0, right? And it's like, it was just really funny. And like, it was just drilled into our brains. Like, we get it. We get it. We get it.
I mean, is it like the same with Path of Exile 2 where there is so many people that said like, I'm so out of line. I cannot start PoE 1 right now because there is so many things. I'm going to start with PoE 2 when everybody's fresh. Like, I don't know, like, PoE 2 will fucking explode on the first day. I can see like 1 million logins and everything burning even further, you know? Because people show interest in PoE, but not really in PoE 1 anymore because it's like an old game, right? So,
but that has been the thing since the first ExileCon, which is like 2019, and people are still saying that until this day.
Yeah. And also, like, I think a question that often comes where I always have to smile is like, people are like, is this the right time to get into PoE? Should I, like, when is the next league launch? And I'm always like, dude, you're a new player. You can start anytime. You don't have to wait until the new league is there because there's plenty of things to do wrong and to like plenty of traps to stumble into. You're going to be happy to have played a week or two before you actually start on a league launch.
The right time to play was 10 years ago. The best time to play is like tomorrow.
Yeah, right versus best. Yeah. It's not always the same. You're right.
Yeah, it's like, well, all you can really do is start now. Like, might as well get started now so you're not a noob later, right?
Which is problematic in Path of Exile because like the first 1,000 or 2,000 hours is pretty much a tutorial and you don't know shit after. So in that case.
Yeah, speaking of the podcast topic, that's actually one of the bigger differences is the onboarding process is definitely not as long. I mean, like, look, MBX got there, so we're all good, right?
I 100% agree on that, man.
Wait, you didn't ask Dredd to take you by the hand and introduce you to Path of Exile?
No, I've been playing PoE since 3.0. So I know my way around. I'm good. I know, like, people.
No, I realize that you've been an avid Path of Exile player in the past, and you still play. You even played this league, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Affliction was fun. It was fun, because LE doesn't have like we talked about last time I was on. It doesn't have like loot filter sounds, so like I have to go back to PoE every so often to get the divine dings back in my head. The addiction, you know, it's like a drip.
Yeah. A lot of people are hooked on that drop sound dopamine.
Yeah, you don't realize how much you missed it until you play Last Epoch as well. I've a fair few times that I saw a star like far end of the map, and I've just realized I've walked past or dashed past so far away now, but I never heard the ding, and I just didn't feel like I need to go back to see it. It probably doesn't worth anything, so I just keep walking. But in Path of Exile, even just the chaos drop sound, you heard the boom, and then you just go back instantly because you heard, that might be something good. Yeah, I really wish they would add a bit more sound like even just a couple to distinguish for ourselves, and that'll be enough, I think.
Or just give us like a list of sounds we can choose for each loop filter thing. Like I'd be fine with that.
It is so tilting that my cam is flickering all the time, and I have no freaking clue why that is.
Yeah, it also just started when we started streaming.
Yeah.
Like it was fine before. Like right when we hit the podcast, and all of a sudden the technical problems with your cam started.
The cam settings right now, like, okay, this doesn't work. Let's set 30 FPS, okay? Works? No, it's flickering. Okay, 25 FPS. I'm just literally trying out settings here because, like, man, I hate it, dude. But it was fine before all the time, so.
Yeah. So HFOC, I remember we talked about Last Epoch prior to launch in a private message. Since you're doing content in Cantonese, you got a little bit of better grip and outlook on the Asian market, right? Or at least at a specific segment of the Asian market. And you told me prior to the launch that you're surprised that there's not that much hype seemingly around it. Has that changed since?
It has changed quite a bit, actually. I'll first go back to what we've talked before the launch. It was, I think I messaged you around roughly 1 week before the official launch date. And I said to you, there is no one talking about Last Epoch at all in China, in Taiwan, Hong Kong, Macau, and very little presence in the China realm as well. And ever since I messaged you, like 2 days after that message, I finally saw someone from the community beside myself is talking about Last Epoch. And after that one, there are like more and more content creators talking about it. And for the Taiwan's forum, there's one called gamer.com.tw. You can take it as like the Taiwan Reddit for games. And Last Epoch wasn't even on the top chart at all before that, and even before launch, when the creators start talking about it, there was still nowhere to be seen. But as soon as the game launched, it jumps up to the first place. And over. Sorry.
Wow.
Sorry for the car.
No, it's okay.
Life in city, and it always happens. But anyways, so it went from nowhere to be found to all the way to the first one, and I believe it stayed there for a day or two. The server problem kind of took it down to 3, and let me check where it is right now, because I believe it is still quite high in the chat. And that surprised me by a fair bit, because no one was talking about it prior to that. It is now number 6 on the chat, and on the chart, and that is, I believe, even higher than what Path of Exile has ever been on that forum.
Well, it's probably because people can actually play the game now, and that helps a lot, it turns out.
But the problem with the current Last Epoch version is that it only has a simplified Chinese version. It doesn't have the traditional Chinese locale. So a lot of Taiwanese, so a lot of the Taiwanese or the Hong Kong, Macau player actually don't enjoy that kind of experience with the simplified Chinese. It is essentially the same language. It is just written differently. But then sometimes it just takes you a couple more seconds to read a thing, and then that adds up quickly in ARPG, especially when you need to learn the mechanic from a new game.
Oh yeah, trust me. Every time I play Torchlight Infinite, it's always an interesting time. So I understand the feeling completely of not being able to understand what the heck is going on because the translations are meh.
But yeah, seeing the success from Last Epoch, I believe it even overtook Path of Exile in the market that I'm in, at least. And a lot of people was waiting for Path of Exile 2, and a lot of them just hop on to Last Epoch as soon as see them. A lot of the biggest streamers or content creators start to talk about it, and now a lot of people talk about it. And I didn't feel the need to make much content anymore.
Yeah, it's interesting seeing everyone come over to 1.0 because like I've been here since the start, so it's weird seeing everyone come on. It's like, oh, look, that guy's playing it. Oh, look, that guy's playing it. Oh, look, that guy's playing it. Like, there was a prevailing meme in my community whenever Asmongold would talk about Last Epoch, I'd be like, oh, shoot, everyone to the helm. Is he actually going to play it? Then we go and look. He's not. And I'm like, oh, okay. And it was like Groundhog Day. You know, it's like, oh, all right, are we ready to go? Because, like, you know, if you're intelligent when it comes to content creation, you will know that there are things called content windows. And if someone big comes in and plays Last Epoch, like for instance, every so often Ziz will come and play Last Epoch. Like, okay, all right, time to make a video. All right, it's time to make a video. It's like, it's not even like being dumb. It's just like that's just the intelligent thing to do. So, but like with 1.0, it's like everyone's here. I'm like, oh, okay, let's just make content. Let's go. Woo! It's been fun.
I guess I'm fucking stupid.
Why? Because you didn't make content, or did you figure out what was the problem with the camera?
Everything. Like, I think I just tried the settings with the cam. Eventually it will work at some point.
Okay.
But it's like, oh, everybody's like so like professional about being a YouTuber and stuff. You know, hey, it's a content window. And I'm like, what the hell is a content window? What does he mean by that? You know, being YouTuber since like 15 years, you know?
Usually what that means is...
I know what it means. You just explained it before, so now it makes sense. But if you would have like a written test for me, you know, like, what is a content window? And I'm like sitting here like,
well, it usually depends on the way that like YouTube recommends things. Like for instance, if someone clicks on like, let's say an Asmongold video about Last Epoch, and I make a Last Epoch video, YouTube, if my Last Epoch video does well, it might recommend that video to the person watching that video at the end of that video. And that is a large source of exposure, because that's like, if you're wondering like, hey, like, why is my stuff blowing up all of a sudden? It's because YouTube is probably recommending it to people. And that's one of the main ways of getting it recommended. It's like, oh, like, someone big is playing it, right? Like some random, like, I don't know, like Shroud is playing Last Epoch. I'm like, oh, wow, okay, let's make some content, right? And that's just because, like, I have plenty of things like lined up. I think I have like 2 builds already ahead of a schedule currently. So like I could make a video whenever I feel like. It's just like, you know, usually I do it like on a daily or like every other day. But like if I see someone playing, I'm like, okay, all right, time to release now. There you go.
I'm so
but then the problem, go on.
I'm like, bro, I'm like, yo, I feel like making a video today, so I make a video. I never make it based off, hey, there's somebody else doing. Oh, but I have a content window. I'm like, hey, I like making videos, so I make a video today. So that's
well, you stream mostly, so it doesn't really matter as much.
I do both, so
yeah.
But I'm a freaking noob, dude. It doesn't matter. I'm a passionate noob, though, so I got that going.
I think that's the most important part when you make a video, is that you really feel like making that video, like that you're somewhat enthusiastic about the content that you're about to present. Like, sure, time and place matter a lot, but they're secondary to that. I didn't mean to interrupt, though. HFOC, you wanted to bring something in. You wanted to say something.
Oh, I was saying the problem with a lot of content creators making videos or even streaming is that my audience, for some reason, they always compare themselves to streamers. Like, I have one comment telling me that there are a couple of streamers that doing 1 to 98 in 4 hours times of Last Epoch, and after they've witnessed or watched this stream for that 4 hours, they didn't feel like it is fair for them to play Last Epoch at all. And I was like, why do you compare this to anyone but yourself? You should be just enjoying at your own pace. And yeah. Do you guys ever have any? Okay.
For me, it's the opposite right now, because like I see all these new people playing Last Epoch, and I see like they're doing like they're, you know, they're doing fine and all, but like I already have like almost 4 characters already to level 100, and I'm like watching someone's like, oh my god, I got to 1,000 corruption on my first character, woohoo! And it's like interesting to watch, and it's definitely weird, because like all these people that I'm looking at are people that kick my ass when it comes to Path of Exile, right? So watching them come over to LE and you know, do like, you know, and that I'm actually doing well for once, it's like, it's kind of a humbling experience, you know. It's like, Oh, okay. I guess I am actually good at something for once.
Yeah, I can totally see that.
Like I've been go ahead.
No, please finish your sentence.
So like recently, I had a few people come up to me. It's like, hey, Dred, how are you on like your fourth character already? Like, what the hell? Like, I'm so on my like second, and it's like some people I know that play a lot of PoE, and they come up to me and they say that. I'm like, really? I felt like I've been pretty slow. Like, I'll be honest, like I've been taking my time this time around. So it's just like, wait, you think I'm going fast? Like I feel like I'm going slow. Like, what the heck? Like, only 4 characters? Like, I've been like half my time has been staring at the stupid auction house UI. Like, I've been going slow.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that as well. No, but I honestly, I think 4 is a reasonable pace. I don't want to think that I would be as 4, especially not if I was min-maxing them to the degree that you do, but I'm on my second character. The first one not really fully min-maxed, but the thing is I'm also on like 50% playtime of what I could be playing, right? Like 3 weeks in. I think if you play full time, right? Like every day is like 6 to 8 hours, then you should be done with a character in like a week and a half, right?
Yeah,
I mean, it's not completely unreasonable to be on your third character or fourth even now.
So the reason why I have so many characters already, well, for one, it's my job, so obviously, right? And the second off, it's because right now, with the way that the corruption is working, like 700 is that buttery smooth spot where like it's not too difficult, so you can zoom through it to get as much favor as possible per hour, while also not being too low where you're not getting enough favor per kill, right? Because favor is the most important resource in the Merchant's Guild, because if you do not have favor, you cannot do anything, even if you're sitting on like 20 million gold. It doesn't matter. If you don't have favor, you can't do shit. And that's like been about where I've been sitting, is like 700 on all my belts, and everyone else is like pushing to like 1,000, 2,000. I'm like, guys, like don't get me wrong, it's fun, but that's insanely inefficient.
That makes sense.
I better not say that it took me 15 hours to finish the first time the campaign.
It's okay. We all went through it.
That's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. Like,
I mean, the second only took like 8 hours, which is almost twice as fast, you know? So
you're still reading everything. It's fine. There's nothing wrong.
I do not. I just sometimes I just run around and I just have fun slaying monsters. And I continuously do that. And then the entire minimap is unlocked. And I was like, what am I even doing in this zone? I don't even have a quest here. And I'm
it happens so easily, especially as a streamer. You get into this into this automatism. You're just talking to chat, and before you know it, wait, I full cleared this? Wait, where was it going? I was doing something else.
To be fair, in the start, I was super happy to clear the entire zone because I was scared to going close to a loading screen. You know, I was like, bro, this is, I bet, like, you know, it really was like, okay, you know, to initiate the loading screen, you need like 3-4 minutes sometimes. So what you do, you zoom through, like you initialize the loading screen. So
and then you walk back and start killing the monsters.
And start killing all the monsters, because once you're done with clearing everything, this is probably when the loading screen starts happening, right? So that's a kind of efficiency. But I'm like, you know, I mean, I have like my first level 100 now. I'm on my third build technically. I have like 3 90s now, or at least 100 and 2 90s and corruption 500 and stuff like that. But I don't know. I don't really care about being fast. I don't care about being efficient. I don't care about comparing myself to others. Like, why does this guy is so much better than I am? It's just like, I'm new to the game, and all I want to do, or all I'm seeking, is enjoyment. And I don't care if I need, like, probably I'm farming currently this Logon boss for my Storm Totem Shaman because I need the relic. And I'm going to sit on Corruption 100 until I get this relic. So problem is I killed him now like 15 times already, and I'm level 92 on Corruption 100, and I still haven't got it. So, you know, I'll take my time. I don't care, but I hope this guy drops it soon, because otherwise I'm going to level another build, because this is getting stupid. But yeah.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's been a very humbling experience, like I said, because it's just interesting seeing it like on the other way around, where instead of like envying the person who's like at high whatever shenanigans, you're like, I am that person all of a sudden for no reason, and I'm just like,
Yeah, and others looking to me for guidance now.
Yeah, it's like, for instance, I guess this is probably what like Ben feels like or something, where it's like I feel like I was slow, like I wasn't going that fast that day. It's just weird. It's hard to like wrap my mind around it because, like I said, I've been watching and playing Path of Exile, and watching Path of Exile content for years now. Okay, like I'll be honest, I'm mediocre at Path of Exile. Like, for instance, recently it was like I think I was talking with Steel. I was on Steel's Twitch because he was asking advice about Last Epoch. And he's like one chatter was like, "Oh, like Dread, his Path of Exile content sucks," and I was just laughing because it's like that's like walking up to an artist, right, who's like painting. It's like you ask him like, wow, it's that random artist dude. He sucks at like being
making hip hop beats.
Yeah, like he just sucks at that. It's like PoE is unironically my I don't know, my vacation. Like, it's literally my vacation away from Last Epoch. I know that's weird to say that Path of Exile is your vacation, but like it is away from my work because I don't take PoE nowhere near as seriously as I take like Last Epoch. Like, sure, I get all my 4 watch stones and all that. I mean, well, void stones, and then like I get my headhunter and my mage blood and all that. Like, I do all the normal stuff, but it's just like I don't do it nearly as fast as some other people do, obviously, right? I obviously understand that. And it's just funny because it's like, but then you, on the other side of the shoe, it's like, yeah, of course my PoE content sucks. Like, I'm literally just sitting in front of the camera and talking about my experience on my vacation. It's like...
No, but it's great because I have the same feeling. I mean, I'm nowhere near as good at Path of Exile as... Probably I'm not even as good as at Path of Exile as you are. I don't get a Mage Blood or Headhunter every league. I'm not like someone who likes to grind out goals that take a lot of time or something like that. I used to be fairly decent at speed running the campaign, but there's been so much creep and I haven't been keeping up with the meta, so I'm not anymore. I would say, like, I take Path of Exile pretty serious, but I'm pretty bad at it by now. But like Last Epoch really allows me to go in and just not put that pressure on myself of like, oh, I have to do this by that time, or I have to be, you know, I just don't feel bad about it. I just like, oh, this is just for fun. I'm taking long, I'm herp derping around and probably not scaling efficiently because I don't know how the things work, right? So like, for example, it took me so long to figure out how the flat added throwing damage worked because I asked around and no one could tell me. And like, I was playing shurikens, but you can get like 100% lightning conversion of shurikens. But then I noticed if I scale physical damage, I still get more damage increased than if I scale lightning damage, even though all my damage is converted from physical to lightning. But then it turns out there is throwing damage that is specified as physical throwing damage that does get added post-conversion. So you still have physical damage in your throwing damage, and that is then scaled. So depending on how much flat lightning and flat physical you're adding to your shurikens beyond the stuff that does get converted, then there's a different way to scale it efficiently, and it took so long to wrap my head around.
How was your day, HFOC?
Yeah, I was gonna ask.
Some random dude explaining quantum physics, and I'm sitting here like,
What?
I'm on the same
How was your dinner?
Come on, it's not that complicated.
You start asking me.
Come on, it's not that complicated. The skill has its own base damage, and then there's 3 different stats that you can get on items. With generic throwing damage, physical throwing damage, or lightning throwing damage. The generic one gets added post-conversion. The both specific ones don't get converted. They are added after the conversion. So that's like super weird.
That's what I meant.
HFOG, how many builds have you played yet?
I've first started off as a offline character because I knew the server wouldn't hold up. So I played. So I played a Falconer. I thought I'll go for deck stacking and then use spear because I really like spear playing. And then there's also a flat damage added for the deck stacking. I didn't get too far with that. I got into Monolith, like just literally the end of campaign, played a couple of Monolith, and then my viewers would say, you should try the server. He said to me, if you never played it during this time, you never experience how bad or how good it is, the server at that time. So I thought, fair enough. I'll give it a crack. So after that, I played Warlock, because there's no point playing the same characters. And I didn't really I want to play all the masteries before I redo any of them. So I start with Warlock. After that took a while because of a lot of the server issue. That was like day 2, I believe, when I started Warlock. And luckily, I've actually experienced how the server keeps on getting better and better. And I also got myself into actually looking at the Discord announcement and realized how good ESG keep up with the communication and all of those stuff. It was insane. Like coming from Path of Exile to Last Epoch, when there is this server problem, you seem to have a notification so often, and you know exactly what is happening. Whereas GGG, they've only just kind of started with the live thread, and even then, you don't feel like they actually update most of the stuff. By the end of day 1, it really slows down, and by day 2 or day 3, they'll update you maybe every half a day. Last Epoch, it was almost a week in, and they're still keeping up, and they also tell you when everything is settled, we'll make more blog posts explaining what is happening, and just feels like you just feel cared by the developer themselves.
You know, there is one thing I want to mention here. There is still a difference for Path of Exile being a free-to-play game, while you actually had to pay money. At least most of us had to pay money for Last Epoch. You know, and this is like where a lot of like shitstorm. I mean, obviously, both times you're going to log in and you want to play the game and you can't because server issues. It sucks. You know, we had this like multiple times throughout all the genres. Doesn't really matter. Right?
Ultimatum League.
Yeah. The thing though is, if it's free to play and you cannot play, you're like, fuck this, man, you know? But if you pay for the game and you cannot play, this is a bigger shitstorm, in my opinion.
The problem is that we have offline mode in Last Epoch, and even if you paid for it, you can still always play offline mode. I always tell my viewers, just play offline mode. You don't have friends to play with you anyways. Like, no offense, but that's the reality.
Okay.
I hate that because I was planning on playing Merchant's Guild, so like just play offline. All right, I'll just
But if I said to them, unless you actually have friends to play with, or you're actively trying to play with Merchant's Guild, otherwise there's no reason for you not to start right now with offline instead of just sitting in there. What most of them end up doing is they sit in front of the loading screen for so long, they play a game of ARAM, come back, do a map, and then go back to ARAM because they're loading into the next zone. So that was an experience that I've never seen anyone.
Calling me out. He's calling me out. He's calling me out. That's exactly what I did all day. I even stopped and took a nap.
Yeah. I remember my first Last Epoch stream on release. I think it was like 7 hours, and I'm not kidding. 6.5 hours were just loading screen, Alt F4, restart the game, character selection, connecting to the game, Alt F4, loading screen. Does something happen? Yo, we're actually in. That's crazy, you know? First waypoint because I have a quest there. Infinite loading screen, Alt F4, and you rinse and repeat. I swear, 7 hours of stream. 6 hours minimum, just trying to get in.
I admire the persistence. I just gave up after a couple hours of like looking at the load screen and playing Deep Rock Galactic Survivor on the side. I was like, hey, I really want to play online, so I'm gonna just go to sleep and play in the morning because I was so certain they're gonna sort it out within a couple of hours. They're so well prepared. They have all this infrastructure, all this work invested. My expectations.
Sure. They were so sure too. Like you read all the Reddit posts, like they were so sure, and I was like, So
HFOC, if you play online, you cannot even meet potential friends. What about that? It's not like I'm trying to do the same, and actually, I did learn like I say 5-6 people over the past 6 years in Path of Exile that I know from in-game that are now considered friends in the internet, you know, they're kind of friends. But it happened like once a year, actually, somebody is actually becoming my internet friend. But if you play offline, this can never happen. So what about that?
Yeah, but you can always play it after. But you can play it after when everything settles, and then you can enjoy the online experience, because I think there's merit to offline experience as well. We don't have a lot of offline ARPG anymore. So that is another kind of experience.
Only Grim Dawn, I think. Is what I can remember. But Still, that was exactly the same reason where we were like discussing in the like 6 hours of waiting time, you know, this was the reason why are we not playing offline? And I'm like, hey, I'm not going to sit here and play offline mode to level 90, get to a empowered monolith, to then be able to log in and do the same thing again. Same character, same campaign, and I need to redo. And if I find something crazy good in offline mode, I would be pissed that I don't have it in online mode. And in the end of the day, once you start making content and people see you're in offline mode and you have a crazy good build going on, yo, this guy just edited files. You know, it's not even online. What the hell is this? You know, it's like so many things.
Yeah.
That is so many things that can happen. So I said, I want to play this online, and I just ignore the fact offline exists. You know, and that's how I did. Not saying it's a wise choice, but.
I looked at it similarly, but in retrospective, I probably think it would have been wiser to just start an offline character, because I wasn't playing efficiently in online anyway. Like, there was so many things to learn, so much content to still make, so many first discoveries and conversations to have. It would have been, just from a content creator point of view, much better to just play offline.
My opinion on it is, I have been playing offline for like 3 years straight. Let me play online, goddammit.
Fair enough, yeah.
It's just like, I've been playing offline for so long. They spent a whole year working on online. Let me play online. Like, the whole point of us having to wait a whole year, like, for multiplayer, was because they had to get online going, and I had to, like, literally just screw off for that whole year, right? And just do whatever else, right? And wait. I'm like, let me play online.
I understand that, but for me, because a lot of my viewers actually never played, or they've only heard of Last Epoch. They want to find out a lot of like different system of the game, and as long as I'm actually playing the game, I can explain to them, and I can hook a lot more of people to try to get into Last Epoch, because even now there's still quite a large portion of my viewers that still try not to play Last Epoch because they've heard the server isn't stable, which is now, and the end game is lacking. And the end game thing is putting a lot of people away, or like what we said at the start, I'll wait until a better end game. Like, the launch is here.
That misconception, by the way. So
I directly like to call that out. Just one sentence real quick. That's something for people like Dread, who are playing like every day, in and out, all day. But if you're new to the game, you're going to be hard pressed to find a point where it bores you within a week.
If all you ever did in PoE, you log on to PoE, and that's been your life for the past 4 years, you will find the end game lacking. That's just how it is, sadly. It's just how it is. You will eventually find the end game lacking. But if you're completely new and whatever, like, you won't reach that point. Like, barely anyone reaches empowered monos anyway. So I constantly have to remind people what empowered monos are to people because of that, right? So like, that's sadly a misconception due to my fault partly, and a lot of other people who've been playing the game for 4 years. Like, if you've been playing for 4 years, yes, the end game is a little lacking. It's like as if, we've been playing for that long, right? But it's definitely a lot more than people give it gains towards, right?
It depends, because I cannot say that I'm like the average player, because if you play every day for like 6 to 8 hours, then you're not average. You're way above average, right? Because the average guy is like playing like 1 or 2 hours in the evening when he has time, when the kids are sleeping, whatever, And no, once you play that kind of like pace, then you probably 3 weeks you're happy if you reach the empowered model. So there's a lot of things to do, right? But I'm on a point where I said like, okay, I got to level 100, I got my corruption 500, and I think like at the moment my honeymoon phase with Last Epoch is over. That means after playing for not really the amount of time the Dreadful has and stuff like that, but it doesn't really matter. From the release to now, I played quite a lot, and I experienced pretty much all forms of the game. I would say like 80%. There's still things to discover and stuff like that, but now I feel like every day when I log in, I feel like there is certain things that I just dislike in the game, and this is also like probably, I don't want to self-promote, but this is like my next video topic would be something like what I would change in Last Epoch, just as a feedback from me to EHG, you know, because the game has troubles, same as Diablo 4, same as PoE. There's always things that you can do better or worse or doing something like that, right? But I
think it's just a matter of the human mind. Like, even if the perfect game, you would find things that you find annoying after a while. It's just you have a certain horizon, or it's like, I like 30%, I hate 20%, and the rest in the middle I find okay. And it's just like your brain is always going to try and fill those.
But
folders.
We only act like that when we are actually enjoying something a lot, and we want to see it rise and improve, you know? And I have the same feeling on PoE, because when they do shit in PoE, I'm getting mad. Because why do I get mad? Yeah, because I love the fucking game, you know? It's like what I enjoy. If something terrible happens in a game that I don't care about, whatever, you know? But I think LE is a great game, but it has a lot of potential. But I'm a bit scared how if they can keep up with the pace that the community demands. Basically, what are we going to see in 1.1, in 1.2? Because this is now LE is on the big stage right now. You know, we've seen a higher player base peak on LE than we had on Path of Exile, right? Even though it's like pretty close, like both have like over 200,000, but the player base is there. The player base wants an ARPG. The players are there, and now it's the release, and people are enjoying it. But you know, there is a lot of things that needs to be fixed to make it more enjoyable for the bigger audience, right? And we're gonna see how LE, or if LE can keep up, because if they, you know, let's assume, okay, first cycle is over, second cycle starts, and there is one new end boss, and that's it. People are like, "Huh? Wait."
Yeah. We do know there is multiple coming, by the way. We do know that.
So I think LE's like on the big show right now, and they have the chance to have a massive impact right here if they take the chance. Because I know another game where people said, yeah, you know, like probably needs like 3-4 seasons, then will be a great game. And it's now in like 3-4 seasons in, and nothing has changed at all. So they had their chance, I guess. So
yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
that's true. That's important to keep in mind, that you don't get infinite chances. But they've done a remarkable launch. I don't know about you, Dread, because you've been playing the game for so long. You probably were a little bit more realistic and closer for expectations. But as far as MB and HFOC go, I think I can speak for you and myself when I say that the game exceeded all expectations in terms of
definitely
how it
me
performed.
Too, yeah. As soon as I was actually able to play the game, it was great. Like, I was happy. Like, stuff. Like, when I was actually able to play the game, it was great. Like, as soon as it got to that point where every single time I logged in, I could actually stay logged in. Like, I was like astounded. Like, the new graphics, the new enemies, like everything. Like, I enjoyed it every bit. Like, it was a kind of a religious experience seeing all the new mobs and stuff. I'm like, wow. Because, like, you know, you gotta remember, I've been playing for this long, so seeing new stuff is great, right? Like, I love seeing new stuff. Like I said, when I say that the end game, there isn't enough end game, the only problem, like, technically there is, because the corruption farming thing, but I'm not that kind of person that wants to push the number up that high. Like, I like PoE's approach, where I get to tier 16 maps and I can juice those maps further and further, but like, you can't go like tier 17, tier 18, or like for instance, I hate Delve, right? So like, I'm not a fan of that kind of content. So that's why I, you know, set goalposts for myself, and I set myself to this expectation for builds, so that, you know, I have an end goal for a build, etc. That's why I say the end game is lacking, because, like, you know, I don't like the infinite scaling, because it starts breaking the game down. Like, it breaks the game down. Like, for instance, after a certain point, no matter how much investment you put into minions, they will not survive. It doesn't matter what you do, they won't survive unless you're playing Immortal Falcon, of course. But like,
I have that problem already now. I'm not even an empowered. I'm not even like above level 70. It's like I'm playing an acolyte with the Hungering Souls, and Hungering Souls has this 150% more multiplier node in its web when you have exactly 3 minions.
Oh, there's ways of getting around that. Recently, you can use volatile zombie to keep that up, because whenever you summon them, they can summon 3 at once, right? And then when they die, they summon skeleton vanguards, which are capped at 3. So as long as you keep that up and you keep your damage windows up, and you just place down your skeletal vanguards when you know the boss is going to attack your shit, right? Then you're good to go with that. That's
Okay.
my advice.
I'm gonna look into that.
Yeah, and like
thanks.
But yeah, that's like the problem is like that's the problem with the infinite scaling. That's why I don't like the end game currently in Last Epoch, because I don't think that like infinite scaling is a good replacement for actual end game, right? Like, at least in my opinion. I know other people like the infinite scaling and they absolutely enjoy it, but my problem is like, well, as someone who wants to play every single build, it doesn't really work now, does it? Like with the infinite scaling.
Yeah, you
like,
reach the hard limits where you can just not build enough defenses to tank certain hits.
Well,
You're always gonna need to get out.
Like for me, it was literally when I heard about the endless scaling, I was super hyped. I was like, bro, I can make a character and try to push as further as like far as I can, right? It's like great, because in PoE I cannot do that unless I go delve. So I was super hyped about it. Now, after 200 hours and getting one character to 500, while my other can barrel do 150 or 200, they like, in order to have a good endless scaling, you need the perfect balancing. And Last Epoch does have a massive balancing issue. And for some builds, it is easier to reach 1000 corruption, while it's harder for other builds to reach even 300. So this is the problem with endless scaling. There is going to be the matter. There is going to be a 4 or 5 builds that can go past 2000 maybe. And with other builds, it is impossible to even get to 500. Unless you have like insane gear, so let's talk about 500, but you're not going to see 1000. So as long as there is balance issues, like if every build would suck above 500, and then it would be special. Yo, have you seen Dread? He pushed like 650 with his wall. Like, oh my god, holy shit. Yo, Catmaster got his Primalist, his like Storm Totem Shaman to like 550. Have you seen this video? You know, when the balancing is even, then you can do something like that. But at the moment, you have the exact same thing. What happens in Path of Exile in Delve, you have like 4 or 5 builds that can go past 10,000 death, and no other build can do that. Impossible. It is not possible. And this is the bad thing, because if you take now PoE endgame, you know, hey, if my build can do all the normal Pinnacle bosses and can do tier 16 maps and Guardian maps, you know, my character is done. But now I can decide, do I want to go for daily farming? You know, do I go 100% daily? Do I want to make a bossing character? I can specialize into things, right? But this is the good thing about not having an end game, because you feel kind of like that you can get every build up to a certain point, you know, where it can do all content. Might take more investment on some builds, some take less, but you will eventually get to a point where every build can do all content. Like, not talking about Ubers and stuff like that, but you know what I mean, right? With corruption, there is no point. You just like what you said yourself.
Sorry. I would argue that we don't need perfect balance for every single build for an endless kind of content, but we need diversified content. So as you said, some build might work in Delve, and those builds can always excel in Delve. But then we also need some other builds that excels at other places. Currently, Last Epoch is lacking the other places, so other builds doesn't seem to shine at all. But as soon as we get those extra content, maybe Pinnacle Boss or Pinnacle Endgame, yada yada, and then we'll see diversifies from the player base which kind of endgame content they enjoy, and from that we can diverse in that, and we can have a balance for different game mode.
Yeah, my biggest example for people when they're coming in and they talk about Last Epoch, or they want to play Last Epoch, the biggest thing I explain to them is like, imagine Path of Exile, but if the only end game was Delve. Imagine how much people would hate that. like don't get me wrong, Delve was fun, and I played during Delve League. Like I love Delve. Like I know I said I hate Delve, but like I hate deep Delve. But like still, like imagine how less people would enjoy Path of Exile because of that, right? And like what HFOC is saying, like we definitely miss that, because essentially imagine if PoE started out with Delve first and then got maps later or whatever, right? Like that's essentially like the comparison right now. And it would be an interesting time, I will say.
Yeah. No, I got you to delve enjoy here as well. SFHC level 99 trickster in Delve League, actually. That was the only league that I ever hit level 99 in SSFHC. And I mean, I'm not someone who plays HC nowadays in Path of Exile. I'm looking to get back into it, but there's just the game speed is too fast for me. I'm mechanically and theory crafting wise inferior to other players, and it's just not fun for me to play hardcore at the moment. But I want to say that Delve specifically, I agree with you. I don't like the infinite scaling in softcore, but on the other hand, Delve in hardcore is really cool because you have to balance offense, defense, and there's a point where you can't go further, but you have to try anyway, and then you die. But in softcore, you get to the point where you just, okay, yeah, my defenses, I can't scale them enough to not die, so I just take them all away and I invest it all into offense, and that's where it becomes a silly sort of game. I mean, I don't want to disrespect to those who play that silly game because it's its own competition. But
this doesn't exist anymore. They fixed that because they made some changes that you cannot do these CHP builds anymore. That's a thing from the past where they just like flew over and tried to one-shot everything before they die and off-screen everything with iCycle mines and stuff. This is like a thing from the past. Now everybody is like step by step, you know. You can get every character to like 500 or so, like Essence Drain Contagion even, right? But there is like a point where you say like good builds can go to like 1,000. Maybe 1,500, but this is the point where you have to go into 100% Fizz to LE conversion, where you have to play Transcendence, where you have to play anything like that kind of
mechanics, where everything kind of converges into one single archetype, because that's the only thing that will be strong enough to deal with the content.
And this also like means that there is like a handful, like probably 2 or 3 builds that can keep up with a good amount of damage while having those tankiness, right? Because in the end of the day, Delve is like endless scaling, right? So in like a scenario where you're like Delve 10,000, a single white monster, a little spider, has 2 billion life. That's more than 7.
Yeah, they're insane.
You know? So you need to have the tankiness to survive a normal auto attack from these things because they have like 65,000% increased damage, but also 65,000% increased life, you know? So this is like the interesting part. But I do agree that the point where you said like, you know, I cannot tank anything anyway, so we just screw all the defense and just go like 10 billion DPS and just hope that everything dies off screen and nothing ever sees me because I will die when they just look at me, you know. But that's a thing from the past. So, but now we have like the kind of the same. Instead of CHP builds, we now have like still like 3-4 builds that can do DPS.
Yeah, it's just a different archetype now.
That was actually that was actually the meta for Last Epoch for a while in the Last Corruption system, because the Last Corruption system, you started out with very low hitting content, but then you add ridiculous, absurd modifiers. Like I'm talking like Void Enemies deal 300% increased damage, shit like that, right? So what happened was they built a very, very degenerate ZHP meta where all you cared about was your one hit HP, like your EHP for one hits, right? That's all that mattered. All that mattered. It's all you cared about, right? And all like you'd have werebears with 20k ward and all that, and those were the meta builds. But you'd also watch their Oribus kills, and they'd just be sitting there. It's like, and then 5 minutes later, the Oribus dies, and like, yay, I'm at 1,000, woohoo! And that was boring as shit. And to answer someone in chat, so right now, you said, I think it was. Where is it? Seems see, that feels unreal to me, like past 250 to me in corruption. Sounds like you're playing a broken, unbalanced build. Well, actually, right now, as it currently stands, 500 to 700 is like the average for most people. That's like the buttery smooth zone for most endgame builds. It's like where things start feeling good, like in my opinion, and a lot of other people's opinions who's been playing for the past few years. Like that's the new, because it used to be 300, now it's 400 to 700. That's like that buttery smooth zone where like you're killing monsters fast enough, but you're also still getting rewarded for killing those monsters.
Okay, noob question here. Didn't they say in the beta, it's like beta footage 1000 would be the equivalent to real like 1.0 500?
Yes and no. So the old corruption system, when you would get to 1,000 corruption, it was a lot more volatile because, like I said, it was all based on modifiers. Like the more health and damage mod from corruption didn't matter. All that mattered was the mods you had on the boss. So like, for instance, I could be fighting a 300 corruption shade that was just as tanky as 1,000 corruption shade if I just choose the wrong modifiers, right? And now all the bosses are the same. Everything is the same. It's like all a nice thing. Now, instead of having a 1 minute Oribus kill on average content, you have a 2 minute Oribus kill. Like, it literally doubled because now bosses have to have HP. Like, for instance, once you start pushing corruption, those bosses, you can't just like do them with no modifiers, because you could manipulate the modifiers and delete the modifiers, which were the scariest parts, right, of the game. And now those are gone and just put into the corruption. So now it's a much smoother experience. Now, like, let's say like 1,000 corruption now is like significantly more difficult on average, but 1,000 corruption then before could get 2 to 3 times more difficult depending on the mods that you get. So now it's a much more consistent experience. And instead of people cheesing the modifiers, cheesing the system, now you are all forced to deal with bosses with HP. Because before, you could just delete the modifiers. You could go run a few monos, do like 2 mono bosses with like 150% more health or whatever, or like 500% more health, which was like nothing. And then you go do an Oribus with no modifiers. It was like quick, simple, easy. You could face tank them. And then you go back and doing monos and adding modifiers. Now, everything gets everything. And it's been such a better experience, because now it actually feels like when someone tells me they get to 2,000 corruption, I'm actually impressed. Before, I was not, because
broken build.
It wasn't even that. It's just like,
Cheesing.
the effort that it takes to actually do that now, because you can't cheese the Oribuses anymore, pretty much. Well, unless you're playing like, unless you're stunning them and stuff like that, but that's a completely different discussion. Is this a widespread thing? That is a widespread thing. Yes, that is currently what the meta has evolved into. That's like around like where people sit at.
Weird thing, I actually agree with C2 over here, like 100%, because this is like my 3rd character, okay? And I also played in the beta a bit. So what I'm experiencing is you have like 3-4 builds or 5 builds that are seemingly 10 times stronger than anything else. Talking about the Warlock, right? Talking about the Falconer with like endless damage and whatever. People pushed like until it got fixed at 2,000 or something, right? I played Rune Master as my first level 100, and I had a very chill time getting to 500 corruption, because the Rune Master is probably one of the stronger masteries in the game, probably a top 3 or something, right? Together with Warlock and Falconer and stuff like that. So there is then this healing hand smite character. I've never played it. I watched your video. I just see every hit you do 2,000 ES, ward.
No, I wasn't playing that version.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. But
yeah.
Okay, then it was not you, but somebody else. Like, I just see every hit, they just get like 20,000, 22,000, 24,000. I'm like, in which world, in any builds that I played, did I get these kind of levels of ward? I got like 14,000 on my Rune Master, but when I log on my life-based characters, and this is like a balancing thing as well, right? I'm sitting on 2,000 life. And the problem is, or even 2,500. So I agree with him where I say that there are certain builds that are so much better than everything else.
Oh, and that is true. 100%.
With these builds, it's easy to go 500, 600, 700 corruption. But honestly, when you play like the average build, where it's not like any broken mechanic that is not completely overbalanced or something, let's say Cold.Werebear, it is a build, it is fun, it's nice, but good luck getting 700 corruption with Cold.Werebear, or with the one that I'm currently trying out is like the Thorn Totem, Like, my totems crit for like 3,000-4,000. I'm still gearing the character. It's super fine. I'm still level 90, but I don't see myself going further than 150. So when I was playing my Rune Master on level 70, I was just literally going into the monolith, right? I was like, holy shit, I have 6,000 ward. This is like way tankier than my level 91 Cold.Werebear. So this is like the thing. If you are used to playing good builds, then just 700 corruption is like nothing. But other builds, they're like, bro, I can't even hit 200. What are you guys talking about, right?
So
that's why I
the
agree
funny
with him,
thing.
actually.
That's the funny thing, right? I've been prepared for this, okay? So people ask me, Dread, why didn't you play Falconer and Warlock in the beginning? Why were your first two builds a Shaman and a Paladin, right? And I specifically went out of my way not to play with the broken things so that I could get a good grasp of what it felt like with normal builds. So, like, for instance, the Paladin was sitting at like 5k HP. I was not doing the ward stuff. I was just doing normal Electrify Smite things. That is a self-cast Smite build that is as kosher as humanly possible. The only strong thing about it was like the Electrify, like bouncing between the mobs with the healing hands thing. Like, I had healing hands in the build. I did not have any healing effectiveness scaling. I was only using it for the Electrified spread to spread the Electrify on my Smite. And then the next build was a Shaman. And if anyone is a veteran at Last Epoch, they'll know they're laughing right now. It was a Shaman Tornado build, right? With like 4k ward, with a double font of the arrays. And that, I would say, is like meme tier build, like actual meme tier build, right? And like those builds got to 700 very comfortably. Those are like, they're not memes, but they were just like your average stereotypical builds, right? And then I went to Warlock and I was like instantly 700, right? And then I went on Rune Master now, like instantly like 400, 500. So I did test all that, and that's exactly what I tested. So that's why I am sure when we say this, when we talk about it, and why everyone else is talking about it, like 500, 700 is now the new average, because that's literally what we tested in the beginning, because I did not want to be corrupted by the new stuff.
But you guys know how to play the game.
Oh, I know.
You have experience, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
And this is like that's why I'm like grinning in myself, because I'm like the same guy in PoE, you know, like guys, it's just 80% value. Like, this is nothing, right?
See?
And some other people are like white tier maps, like, what are you talking, dude? I get one shot on my white maps. And I'm like, bro, you can be naked and not die in white maps. What are you talking, right? But you're the experienced guy and I'm the noob, and I'm like, dude, it's hella hard.
You know, it's just knowing your way around the game and knowing how to scale efficiently. Because the other day I tuned into Perry's stream and he was leveling a build, and that build like was flying through leveling and like killing things so quickly. And I was like, wait, I was standing still at every other pack for like 1 to 2 seconds in order to kill it. And like, he just knows with the skill that he's playing, like what he needs at which time, and like what he can do. And and I'm just not there yet, right?
Yep. And like, there's nothing wrong with that, obviously. Like, when I play Path of Exile, like, I still take forever to get to endgame and stuff like that. Although the blink arrow of bombarding cones definitely made that very easy this patch. But the thing is, like I said, is like, there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. Like, when I say 500, 700, I'm talking about like, you spent 4 days on the build, or for me average, or like a week. You spent a week on the build. You have good gear. You're playing Merchant's Guild. You have good gear, right? But like, that's like the metrics I'm thinking of. Like, when you're finished, like, that's like when you're finished, you're done with the build. That's where my average and everyone else's averages that I talk to, who play the game a lot, right? And that's like fine. Like you guys said, like, there's nothing wrong with being new, right? Like, ooh.
Would you consider that as an average and not the minimum?
So the minimum, I would say, is 300. Like,
minimum is 300.
Yeah, easily. Yeah, like the minimum's 300. I would say, like, definitely 100%. Definitely 300. That's where the favor, because like the biggest problem right now with the corruption pushing is you need to gain favor to interact with the prophecies, or because like now you need to kill things to get loot, and you need to kill things efficiently to get loot, and you need to get favor, because favor is like gold now. Like, it's literally like the most important thing is favor. So the problem is experience percentage, like that. If you see on the side of the monolith modifier, it says experience gain. That directly influences how much favor you get. So like, for instance, the amount of favor that I get at 500 corruption is completely different than the favor I get at 100 corruption. It's like night and day difference, right? And that's like why pushing corruption eventually is important, because otherwise you won't be able to actually like do anything. You'll like look at like a 3 LP item in the Merchant's Guild. You're like, it's 19k favor. that'll take you like an hour to get to at 100 corruption, or it'll take you 5 minutes at 500, right? It's like that big of a difference.
Longer.
Yeah,
I was spending like 200,000 favor because I really needed a staff upgrade. Like my shaman right now plays with a vendor staff because I just didn't drop anything better right now, even though playing Circle of Fortune on like level 9. And I was like, I spent 200, all I had, bought the lenses, bought everything, right? So now I'm grinding for like 5-6 hours, and I'm like, I think I should get new prophecies. I'm like literally sitting on 45,000 favor, playing like half a day, and I'm like, hey, this is so bad. I get like 5 points per kill or something. Well, hey, my Rune Master, 500 corruption, that fills up to 200,000 quite quickly, so he's kind of a bit of a...
They should probably fix that. Yeah. Like, I think that they should fix that. I should not get to... Like, re-rolling sucks ass for other reasons other than what I'm about to explain. But for this specific reason is, imagine you're playing in 700 corruption, right? And you're farming. And then like, okay, let me play the next build. I use all my favor up, right? Before, like, to buy items. And then I play the new character, and I finally get to empowered monos. And then you're like, wow, I was used to like 10,000 favor an hour, or however much it is. Like, who cares, right? But like, I was used to this amount of favor, and now I'm gaining nothing. It feels awful. And then that stays like that until you get to like 300 corruption. And it feels awful. Like, rerolling feels awful now because of that. Like, it's really bad.
Favor is specific per character, or is shared between characters? So
a favor is shared between characters. Like, I could go and grind on my other character and get favor again. Like, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, but you wouldn't get progress on your character that you're trying to level.
That. Yeah, nobody. Yeah,
no. I'm not suggesting that. I was just curious, actually, whether it's like stored per character or per account.
No, it's account wide. Like, I've done that
because
times now.
You could theoretically, like, just, forget to do prophecies like the last 2 hours or so that you play your previous character, and then just have like a big amount ramped up for the next one. But exactly. I guess it does suck. But in overall, wait, first, HFOG, you're also Circle of Fortune, right? Everyone's we were representative. You're actually Merchant's Guild.
Yeah, I'm actually Merchant's Guild, but I didn't get too far into Merchant's Guild. But
that's perfect.
I've actually observed a really interesting thing from the Merchant's Guild, especially this is exactly opposite of what I was expecting from Merchant's Guild, especially during the early times. I think a lot of people actually put up uniques or even good stuff at 0 cost because of how easy to just list stuff at 0. And then also the Chinese side is actually promoting just use Merchant's Guild and just chuck everything on there so everyone gets everything. We don't have to think about what to put. And I find that the favor converting into reputation kind of not force me, but then makes it a lot easier for me to just ignore how much everything is, but just keep spamming stuff onto the the bazaar. The
bazaar. Yep.
Yeah, the bazaar. So it ends up feels like a group found thingy for me instead of a Merchant's Guild thingy. I didn't feel I've spent a lot on the lower end stuff because I'm still too low in the rank. I couldn't buy legendary stuff or with legendary's potential. So essentially what I got is probably 20k or 30k max, and I get everything I need for my build, and that felt great.
Yep. Merchant's Guild has this weird thing where like you start out and you can't really buy anything, and then you get to like rank 7 and rank 8, and then all of a sudden you can buy everything. It's like a huge difference. It's like I can't buy anything, and then I can buy everything. I'm like, oh wow! Like, imagine in Path of Exile when you started a league, you couldn't trade on the trade website until you got to like level 95.
Until you buy
that's crazy. I was gonna say on a new character you actually have to level to 20. At least that was at a time. Where if you have a new account, you have one
if you
character
have a premium stash tab, that is. Because no trading without stash tab.
Yeah,
like, we could still make a forum post, right?
Yeah. Why? Who does that?
I'm just saying you could.
Okay. Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Merchant's Guild. Sorry. So Merchant's Guild feels a little bit weird. Not exactly how you're trying to trade stuff or even earn money from the Merchant's Guild at lower rank. You only it felt like it only start after rank 7 or 8, like Dreadful said.
Yep.
And anything before that, it feels like a big group of friends that you never know each other, just sharing stuff. And
yeah, it feels like playing COF but worse. That was my experience.
Yeah,
that was my experience.
Exactly.
Well, how do you know what COF feels like?
Because I know people who have been playing COF and been watching them play COF. I've seen the gear they get. Like their experience to rank 7 and 8 was significantly better than mine was. Like for instance, for reference, I was doing like 200 corruption with like the Paladin, okay? Like the Electrify Paladin. As soon as I got to rank 7 and 8, I was instantly at like 500 corruption. That's how much of a big difference like the being able to buy whatever I want is. Like that's a huge difference.
We probably agree
Go for it.
on the fact that you would say both are starting even, right? It's the Circle of Fortune and the Merchant's Guild, right?
Yeah.
If you go into mid game, you get a massive power spike with the Merchant's Guild because you can just buy the stuff that you need, right? But if we go both into like hyper end game, this is where COF would win because you just have way better like exalted items, like double tier 7, tier 6 items, like things that you would probably never find in the trade thing in the Merchant's Guild, right?
Is that so? Because I believe we said the opposite prior to the launch.
Okay. So the way it works now, from talking with multiple people who have played just as much as me in COF, and then talking to multiple people who've been playing just as much as me in MG, like the group consensus is that if you want to play one build and one build only and push that one build to the absolute extreme, Merchant's Guild is better because you can buy some ridiculous freaking items on the MG, like 3 LP items that you'd never ever see ever, right? Like for instance, I bought a 2 LP Blood of the Exile for like 500k gold. That was like worth like chump change, right? That was insane. Like I was able to
500k is nothing.
That's insane, right? But COF, you're dropping a bunch of loot. It just may not pertain to you. So it ends up being really good for a bunch of different characters. So like, for instance, you play COF, you play your first character in COF, and you're like grinding. And then all of a sudden, you have a full set of gear to go play like Low Life Blade Dancer. And then you go do that, and then you are at the same you're at the same like gearing investment as like an MG player. But the problem is it's completely random because obviously the loot is random. Now you can target farm with the prophecy, so you can do that. People have done that, but like it's funny watching, like for instance, I'll watch Perry, right? Perry's like playing like a Frostbite build, and he'll slam some snowdrifts, right? He'll slam like a snowdrift, and then be like, oh, got to go back to farming. And my experience is I'll just go buy like 10 pairs of snowdrifts and then go roll them all in a row, right? And it's like, it's interesting. Like, for instance, I get to choose what's on my gear, but like it's weird.
Yeah, this is the exact problem that I have currently. So I'm playing COF. I've never touched the Merchant's Guild, and I don't want to because I just want to have my first kind of like experience in Last Epoch, to be solo self and to experience everything on my own pace. I don't want to compare myself to others, what builds they're playing, how much corruption there is and stuff like that. I don't care about that. I'm logging in. I want to do this stuff, and I want to do it solo self fun, right? This is my approach. Now I'm literally, I have like a bad loot filter, you know? I have like 15 different affixes and sorting from tier 6 onward to just show me every exalted item that matches the category. I'm not even putting in the base that I want to have, right? I'm just saying, hey, show me every body armor that has tier 6 or higher intelligence because of my Rune Master being an intelligence stacker. And then I run like prophecies, right? I sit there half an hour spending a 200,000 favor only on exalted body armors, and then it says like, yo, kill an exalted mage, right? Or kill 4 exalted mages, and it drops like 10 of these, right? And then I have the lenses that doubles the loot and triples the loot and whatnot, you know? So I see like this massive like purple beam coming up, and there is nothing showing. And I'm like, I'm pressing my height loot filter. I don't even see the map anymore because everything is full of exalted items. But none of these like 100 chest plates that I just dropped has tier 6 intelligence on them. And I'm not even talking about the base, you know? I'm because obviously I want to have the perfect base with a tier 7 roll, you know? but I'm not. I just want to have any chest with a tier 6 roll. I'm not even asking for a lot, right? I'm not asking for multiple modifiers on one item. So my experience right now is that I played quite a bunch, and I do have some thought after items, I would say. I have this Exsanguinate chest with 2 LP, you know? I have a 3 LP ladle laying, or no, I have like 5 2 LP ladles laying around. I have, you know, my for my shaman, I have like the Soul of the Forest amulet with 2 LP. I have like a 3 LP Anguish ring from Shade, you know? But I'm playing Circle of Fortune. I'm farming prophecies. I'm dropping thousands of exalted items, but I never find any item where I would say, this is the one that I'm going to throw in. Because obviously you're going to craft the item and stuff like that, you know? But I just have such a hard time where I say, I have a 2 LP item, but I just don't find any exalted item that I would consider in any scenario that I want to throw this one into the legendary generator, for example, you know?
Yeah.
And my character is full of LP items, but I just, and this is the thing, Circle of Fortune should actually be the one that should be having an easy time finding those exalted items. And now I'm thinking about what would this scenario would look like in a trading scenario if I don't even find the items on the trade, but in farming, right? But obviously, as Dread explained, hey, I want to have a 2 LP Soul of the Forest, so I'm just buying 5, you know? Hey, and what do I want to slam it on? Hey, I need minion damage, I need minion health, I need like shred armor, whatever, you know? So he just buys all the exalted items off the market that he needs, and then he has a fun time running 10 times Yulra. It's like, hey, good luck, you know? One of these 10 pairs will probably hit.
I listened to the Epic Epoch podcast yesterday night.
Yes.
And Perry had a very similar sentiment where he had this other side has the greener grass sort of feeling because he only sees the positive benefits, but not the frustrations on the other side that you have to put up with.
You never get to see the hours that I spent looking at the stupid trade thing.
Okay, one quick question before we move on, right? Can you sell boss drops on the trade website?
Yes, you can.
You can.
Yes. Yep.
So I'm sitting here like probably 10 hours by now trying to farm the relic for my Storm Totem Shaman on Logon, and you say, well, I just go there and what do you need? 2 LP, 2 LP, 3 LP, what do you need? You know, let's just buy it. So I'm
but
like,
that's what trade for.
Yeah, but now I'm hating myself for even trying Circle of Fortune.
And like,
because I'm just wasting time.
Like I said, it's very random. It is very random. Like I've heard a lot of stress coming from people for boss drops specifically because all their fancy stuff doesn't work on boss drops. All their fancy prophecies and everything doesn't work on boss drops as much. You get double LP, but you have to make the thing drop in the first place, right?
I was so hoping that you say, no, boss drops are like excluded. You cannot trade those. But you say, yo, why not? Like
I am looking it up right now for you. Yeah. I'm very curious.
I have one side question in regards to exalted items and legendaries.
Yes. You said 2 LP?
And I had something else.
Oh, that's like going for, to make you feel any better, there's like 12 on the market. But they're all like 20 million gold. So like you could farm for it. It would take a little bit of effort.
How many hours of farming is that approximately at 300, 400
like
corruption?
A day or two, like 3 days, 4 days. Like it depends because the market kind of dead right now in terms of people buying your items. Like for instance, I have 717 items listed on the market, and I get like a sell every maybe hour.
Okay, and sales do make a significant part of your gold income.
Yep, it does
versus drops.
Unless you're going super uber duper corruption, then like it starts going half and half.
By the way, 1 LP on this relic is already very uncommon. So asking for 2 LPs already like probably a week of grinding a shit boss to maybe be lucky once. So I'm not talking about like some random ass like low LP, like hey, somebody found a 4 LP torch, Firestarter torch. You know, this could definitely happen because it has such a low level unique and they can drop it 4 LP. But this relic is actually a rare drop, and it's already uncommon with 1 LP. So I was just joking saying like 2 LP, but apparently there's 14 on the market.
Well, yeah, but they're all like 20 million gold, though.
Who cares? They exist.
I still think that as someone playing the game for the first time and looking to have fun as a content creator and like a fun time with the viewers, I still think COF is really good because it
I agree.
It lets you see more of the game. It presents you with more of the items, with more of the mods, and you get to engage with that a lot more. Yeah, sure, you spend a lot of time reading through those things.
If you don't understand the game at all, like if you're new, MG is absolute hell. It's like playing.
Because you need to know what you're looking for.
The searching is not that great as well for like the interface. And at first, from their post, I thought when you look up a unique item, you can actually search for affix by affix, but I seems to fail to find that. I'm not sure whether that is not on or it's just me.
It's annoying. So like for instance, one of the main strategies I've used to find items that are good, I pick 2 affixes for Exalted anyways. I pick 2 affixes, I list them at tier 5. Maybe on the base I want, maybe not. And then I go into the rarity and I type in Exalted. I put in Exalted. So it'll at least have 2 tier 5s that I want, and one of those might be Exalted. And then I still have to sift through like 20 results. But at least then I can somewhat get an idea of what's up there, right? Like it's still painful. Like imagine playing PoE but without the trade website, without without a specialized loot filter to show the good stuff, without I'm trying to think like things like for instance the trade macro, without the trade macro, without all these things, without dump tabs to put like I can price like 1 divine like or whatever, right? Like stuff like that. You can't do any of that. Like if I want to put up 100 items onto the auction house, which ends up being like what I end up doing, my current gameplay loop is farming up to 100k favor and then putting like 100 items on the market. I take my sell tabs and I take those and I put them on the market. I don't even price check them unless if they're GG drops, and I I list them for a bulk price. I have to copy and paste 150k, copy paste 100 times in a row, and it's awful.
Yep,
it's awful.
That does sound terrible.
The MG plays. It just boils down to that you doesn't feel like you're actually playing the game at all. Like every time I went into the bazaar, it just feels like I'm wasting my time trying to list stuff. Like even as I said, I'm low rank, I'm just listing it for 0. Then why am I even listing stuff? But I need the favor for the reputation and yada yada. And at the high end, I can see myself if I have any good drops, I'll start searching with the I don't think it is fair to compare to Path of Exile's search for trade.
Oh, I know. Right? I'm not saying it's fair. I'm just saying that's how it would feel.
Yeah, but that's exactly how it would feel, because you have to price search for every single items that you care for. And often, more than not, you would have a lot of items because of how the favors work. You can't just list it as soon as you find it. And I also really dislike how we have to, if we travel to the bazaar or even to the Circle of Fortune place, we have to click on travel to there, and then the maps take us to that spot, and then we have to click an extra click to there.
TPS, yeah. It should just TPS. Yeah. It's been a fun time.
I mean, this is all that we're discussing here is just basically feedback, and this has been out for like everybody's giving the feedback, and that's what I'm saying in the first place, like an hour ago or so, where I said like it is going to be so crucial. What are going to be the next steps for EHG? What are they doing? You know, how much are they listening to the community? Because everybody says like, hey, listen to the community. But if every game developer would do that, we just have shit games, because like 99% of the stuff that people are saying is actually stupid because it doesn't make sense in the developer side or in the game side, because they don't think out of the box, right?
I just think of the day 9 video.
We have like so much feedback, and I'm so curious on how this is going on, because you know, I don't know if you want to like continue this what do you say, Merchants Guild discussion, because I want to tackle on another thing, and this is what about the bad things about the game? What are the things that you currently hate and would like to see change? You know,
I'll let you guys start first.
H4.
All right.
Start.
I have a list. H4
Cat must go.
Well, okay. So first of all, I want to go back into a monolith after I poured it out. When I pour it out, like I often like just press the thing, click the portal, and then I'm out. And the moment that I'm out, I see, oh wait, there was an item that I wanted. Oh no, it's gone, because I can't re-enter the same zone again. Right? And it's just stupid. It's my mistake. I know, and I could do it to a point. I can play the game. I can change my style to the point where it's not an issue. But I think it's for a lot of people. Like a lot of people try to go fast and make that mistake, and it would just eliminate a lot of unnecessary friction for people. And then another thing that often happens to me, and I know they've said publicly that they're working on a function that allows you to lock your items in your inventory slots. But a lot of people accidentally swap their weapon when they're trying to like vendor stuff, and then swap it with the weapon, and then vendor their weapon when they actually correct holding down the wrong button. That doesn't happen to me anymore. It happened like prior to release at some point. But like what happens to me sometimes, and one time is I notice, wait, I'm not wearing a weapon. Where did my weapon go? And
it's in your forge.
It happened once, but once I also apparently unequipped it in the middle of a map and dropped it on the ground without noticing. And that's to be fair, I have that in PoE also with Flask. It might be player error.
It makes me love the lock feature from Torchlight Infinite.
I don't know that one, but they're probably going to implement that, right?
And rip my +4 lightning blast helmet that I like. That was so funny. I was recording a build guide, and I'm like, wait. What is happening here?
Where is it?
You know, and then I realized I was like going over the gear. Okay, I have like this +4, and I go over and it shows +3 rune bolt. I'm like, where is my +4 lightning blast helmet? And then I remember instantly, like 10 minutes before I started recording the video, I was shattering the gear to clear my inventory. So I accidentally equipped the other helmet and shattered my +4 helmet. And I was like, oh no, disaster.
It's okay, I've done that too. It's not
but this is like, I so love that you said like, yo, I want to have this lock button. I'm like, yes, please.
I think it is the right click that is screwing everyone up. Like the right click to equip and unequip, that is the problem.
Yeah,
and I really want that to be removed.
And up to this
there
day,
needs to be an option.
It should be like shift right click. It should be like shift right click, and then make like some other button drop it on the ground. But like it should be shift right click to equip the item, and then like make the drop the item, because that's currently the drop the item command, which they added this patch, which is amazing, by the way. The shift right click out of your inventory to drop an item, it's phenomenal.
Oh yeah,
just give it a different key. Just give it a different key.
Yep.
So
all right,
what are your gripes, Mr. MBX?
Like my biggest issue, I mean, there is lots of issues, you know, but my biggest problem is this game is the unfriendliest game that you can play, because I'm a person, I don't need to get to 2000 corruption. I want to play a lot of different builds. I want to play a melee build, maybe a summoner, maybe now I'm playing a totem build. I want to try out this healing hands. I want to try, there is so many builds that I want to play. And this is good. It's good for the game that there is people like me and others that say like, hey, I want to have fun with the game. I want to play so many different builds and characters because the opportunities are there. What happens? You go through the campaign. Okay, that's it's campaign, whatever. If you're getting good at it, you have like probably on your stash some, you know, some items, even the LP items, legendaries, you swap them on and you have an easy time going through the campaign. Take 3-4 hours. I have the same in PoE. You know, I'm a campaign enjoyer. I don't care about that. Then you have to do the non-empowered monolith, where I'm already saying this is kind of a waste of time, but I have to do it because, you know, you got to go through the non-empowered to get to the empowered, because this is where the actual end game starts. So it's like another 2 hours wasted, kind of like, because I have to do it, you know? But then it starts, oh, my character is corruption 100. Great. My other character is 500, and I already have the gear prepared on my stash. I could instantly go 500, but I can't. I need to level up corruption again. But then I need to start farming blessings again, where I'm like, hey, before I start pushing corruption, I need to farm blessings. And the blessings is the next thing that kind of pisses me off, because you have regions where you say, at the moment, I'm looking for 70 crit avoidance on this like one blessing thing, because this gets me capped. Then all of a sudden you find one and you say like, hey, wait a second, I got a tier 7 crit avoidance on my gloves now. I don't need that anymore. So I need to go there again, and I need to keep on farming to maybe find the one blessing that I need. And
they plan on fixing that, actually.
Yeah, but
they're going to make like an inventory that you can click between your previous ones.
Yeah, that would be great. Like an easy solution where I would say, these are the ones, I have to discover them. That's totally fine. There's 10 different persona. Doesn't matter. I kill the boss 10 times. I maybe unlock all of them. But then I would like to be able to switch between them. Because this would be, and I want to have them unlocked. Because this is like, there is a cycle start. There's a league start. It's fine to start off again from zero, from scratch. And you have to farm all of this again, right? But the problem is, for me, it feels like, if we compare it to Path of Exile, is every time you level up a new character, you have to redo the entire atlas. This is what it feels like. But in PoE, at least, if I did the entire atlas, I did all the bonus objective on my other character, I have level 98, whatever, you know. So I level up a new character, put on a tabby, speed run through the campaign. But what I could potentially do, as soon as I kill Kitava, I could literally throw my level 65 character in 100% Delhi max choose map. Because I discovered that, I have the materials, I have the currency, I can do that. In LE, I just can't. Every character that you play resets your entire character. And this is so problematic that I am willing to play a lot of builds, but just thinking about, wait, campaign. Yeah, I get through campaign. Wait,
I want to interject. I think it's great that you can do that in PoE, but I don't think it should be the best and most efficient thing to do all the time or most of the time.
No, of course not. But the thing is, I want to choose because I unlocked everything already. I put in the hours. I farmed everything. So why can I not log on my second character and get like a boost or bonus? Like, why do I have to? I see the sense of the blessings, and it's great that you have like these power-ups that you can swap, make it build specific. What do I need? I can pick that, get some power-ups and stuff. Totally fine. But I already unlocked all of that. So why can I not pick my second character and just select the blessings that I already found? It's not like I want to have them for free. I already found them. You know, I farmed for them. But every single character, and I want to play builds, but just thinking about it, I need to start from Corruption 100 again. I need to farm all the blessings. That's probably like 2 days of investment because I need to go through a campaign. I'm new to the game. I'm not a speedrunner. So I want to play a new build, probably 3 days time investment. Do I want to do that? No, I don't want to. So I just probably going to just farm a couple more echoes and then log off for the day. This is so unfriendly that I feel like kind of like completely punished if I'm... You know, and this is like super problematic. I hate it.
It's been like this for 4 years. Trust me. I know it sucks. The way that I usually explain it to people is I ask them, if there wasn't that grind, would you play more? And the answer is always a resounding yes. It's always a resounding yes. So wouldn't they want people to play the game more? Like, obviously, there's supposed to be some kind of friction so that you have some kind of longer play time, etc. Like for a free-to-play game like PoE, right? Because like retention is everything, right? But you already bought the game. Why do you need to retain me? You know, like obviously, you know, it'd be great to show the investors like, hey, this many people are still playing this much. But wouldn't that help with that? Wouldn't that make me want to play more? Right?
I never thought about this aspect actually. Hey, I bought the game so I can play it as much as I want, and it doesn't matter too much. Actually.
Yeah, like it makes sense for PoE because
exactly.
You know, like it's a free to play game, and retention is everything. And I'm sure retention matters a little bit in that regard for them. But like, wouldn't that make retention better by making it easier to play new builds? Because like,
I think we have to. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
I guess I kind of did already. I think we have to distinguish here between like short-term retention and long-run retention, right? Like within a league, you may be playing more if the re-rolling and the progressing corruption was easier. But in 2 years from now, when you've then more efficiently played through all content, all the builds that the game has to offer, how much are you going to play then? But the question is, again, like you said, you already bought the game. Whether they care whether you reach the end of your playtime this year, next year, in 5 years, or at the end of the league already. Like I don't know. But I guess they do want to have their numbers up for just the hype, Steam charts, and so on.
I don't think that's the case, or I mean, like I think that like it would be stupid of us to think that that isn't the case though, because like for a small portion, like a small part, right? Like obviously it's not malicious, it's just
well,
like,
I'm not trying to say that this dictates all design decisions, but it is definitely a factor to be considered.
Exactly, it's not malicious in any way. Like just like how like when a YouTuber asks you to like and comment on the video, that is not malicious. That's them trying to put food on their table, right? It's like the same thing. It's like if this is what they have to do to make sure that they can put bread on their table, that's fine. But I don't think it's that. I think it's just they just haven't gotten enough feedback about it and fixed it. Because like we said, like you already paid for the game. Like I think getting through the campaign on a new character is fine. I think getting to empowered monos is a pain in the ass. Just having to go through normal monos all over again. I think that's a pain in the ass. I should be able to just like use a thing like a button or a key and kill a boss. Like make the boss moderately hard, kind of like the difficulty of like a tier 3 driller or something, right?
Maybe just a new dungeon.
Yeah, a new dungeon. Yeah, because exactly. And do that, and then it would unlock empowered monos for me or something like that, right? Or just make it so I can go there when I want to. Because like I said before, like the other day on the Epic Epoch podcast, I was like, if I'm leveling a new character and I get to endgame and I'm level 40, I'm not going to go right into empowered monos. I'm going to go farm some normal monos till I'm like level 70. And then I'm going to go to empowered monos, right?
And that's kind of the key word. Let me decide what I want to do. Yeah. That is the point, you know? And at the moment, it feels like I feel forced to do a lot of stuff that I actually just don't want to do, but I have to if I actually want to enjoy this new build in the Empowered Monolith. Yeah. Because this is where I'm going to, like, I'm playing a new build, and what I want to do is I want to start pushing corruption, see how far I can get. But in order to do that, I need to do so much useless, random stuff, and I cannot skip it.
It feels arbitrary, right? It just feels
exactly.
Like we just have to go through the
choice. If I want to do it, if I want to get myself through this stupid grind, let me decide. But don't force me to, because this is exactly what happens then, that people like me are like, yeah, I know I would enjoy this build, or would like to try this build, but I'm not, because I just don't see myself doing the same garbage over and over. I'm not saying garbage, but if you have done it a couple of times, you kind of feel forced to do it. And this is something I absolutely dislike in the game, where I feel like, they force me to do stuff that I don't want to do.
Yeah, like for instance, to put it in Path of Exile terms, right? When you level a new character, we're going to ignore the entire existence of 5 ways here when I talk about this, okay? Just so you know, we're ignoring the existence of that. When you get to maps in Path of Exile on a new toon, new character, do you instantly straight for tier 16s? No. Like your atlas is completed. You could go do it if you wanted to, but you're not going to, right? You're not stupid. You're going to go do some like tier 1 maps, and then like tier 6 maps, and then like some tier 8s and all that, and then go into tier 16s. You're going to be smart about it. And it's like, you have the ability of doing that. We're, like I said, we're ignoring 5 ways here, but like in LE, it feels like I have to redo my entire atlas every single time I want to play a new character. And
that's what I pointed out before. Like, imagine leveling a new character in PoE, and you have to like fill your atlas every single time when you play a new character. Every time, starting from tier 2, unlocking tier 2s, tier 3, tier 4, tier 5, until you're able to do anything tier 16. Please, no, dude. I'll play 1 or 2 builds maximum per league, and that's it. You know?
Yeah.
I think the problem... Sorry.
Yeah, go for it. I was going to ask for other pet peeves, but if you have something to say
I
on
think
that
the problem here is that they don't have enough of an end game, and they don't want us to jump straight from a 1k corruption to a new characters and then start asking for better balance. We have to go through that. So I actually think that they deliberately slowed us down at this patch, at least, because the next patch is supposed to be a monolith expansion. And if we have to keep on repeating the same monolith and empowered and with an expansion of the monolith, that will be too much.
Yeah, but right now, that was my tinfoil hat theory from the other day. That's been my tinfoil hat theory. Obviously, I don't know if it's true or not, but it's definitely been on my mind, what you're talking about right now. Continue.
And we don't know how the monolith will be expanded, but if this stays the same, and I would assume it is on top of empowered monolith, it doesn't make sense to me if it's just a normal monolith that get expanded, but not the empowered one, right? So at that point, if they don't allow the progression of monolith and the empowered monolith to be account shared, I will have a bigger problem with them. But right now, if you let's say made a warlock that got you to 1,000 corruption, and now you played let's say shaman, and that can only get you to 500, and what most people would do is they jump straight to the highest, and then they couldn't play, and then they'll say, oh, the balance isn't good. But then sometimes it can be the player's fault that they try too hard at the first place. If you recall what Jonathan said in the interview with the PoE 2 stuff, they also said that this league affliction, they have put make it too easy for people to reach the difficulties, and without any cost of that. And I'm worried that, I think they're worried about that there's no cost for the new tune to use it, because there is not a map system. You don't need to save up a lot of maps and whatever. So this will be their way to kind of limit you to slowly test your thing, but I think it is just a bit too slow.
I like that line of thinking. That makes a lot of sense, actually. That they did just, because for players like Dread, right, and MB Extreme, or in general streamers who do play a lot and who kind of get a grasp on what they're doing really quickly, it makes sense to be able to bypass that sort of progression. But for a newer player, it might actually get them into a situation where they get into content where they hit a stone wall and then quit playing because of that.
Yeah, that's why you gate it by like making it an empowered only drop. Like you kill, like imagine it's a dungeon key that only drops on Oribus's of like 400 corruption or more, or whatever they end up meriting it, right? Whatever, like who cares? Like maybe it could be like 100. Like I give two shits, but like make it so that if you do get the key, it's because you've been playing enough to the point where the game feels like it could trust you with that, right? And that's like the dungeons already work like that. You don't get a Lightless Arbor key till way later after Lightless Arbor. Like you don't get it like as soon as like you can access it, right? And it already has that gating, and it seems to be working very well, by the way. So like we could just have that just for empowered monos instead.
Yeah, but in the same hand, you also, with a new tune, you have to re-level your dungeons. Because I had this, you know, on my room master. Where
we can't do the harder dungeons right away.
Yeah,
okay,
no, you can't, because
man.
You know, I had my T4 dual run on my room master, which pretty much killed all the game for me, right? I'm done with the character. I could push further, but you know, it's fine. I did everything. So now on my totem shaman, you know, I have like, I have like 1 LP. I got the perfect item for it to merge, and it's like on level 70. So let me quickly get that, right? So I open the dungeon, and this like T1 rest is locked. I'm like, oh man, dude.
Oh, that's a throwback to when in PoE and every character you had to do normal and regular and merciless and Uberlap trials.
Yeah,
and they weren't shared between characters.
And this is like another thing that I'm like kind of curious about is like, why does every zone have its own corruption? This is like, in my perspective as still a new player, right? So I'm pushing like 1 to 500 because I know I'm going to get a bonus for every other things, right? But hey, if I can push this timeline to 500, then I'm pretty sure I can push the others too to 500. I think so, right? Like, what is the point? And there is notes where I can lower the corruption. There is notes where I can higher it. But the essential thing is, I pushed one timeline to 500, and then I need to like, oh wait, I need to push the others now too. So there is tips and tricks where you can like force it faster. But in the end of the day, I still have like a 4 or 5 hour. I mean, first time to 500 takes me like 10 hours. On the second timeline, it takes me like 3 hours maybe. But it's still 3 hours where I say this is kind of a wasted time.
It's like you to unlock red tier maps, you had to do like 200 white maps or something like that. Like that's what it feels like on your new character. That's what it feels like. Like I'm sorry,
kind of like that.
And this is also like something it's like weird, you know.
Yeah, I think it feels more like you have to find your voice stone again and again and again. That's what I feel like at the moment.
Yeah.
Void stones have a limited number of uses.
But this is like the thing.
Disappear.
Those were the things that are clear in my mind. If I go my alt character and run this dungeon, I need a tier 3 to merge this legendary because it's item level, I don't know, 85 or something, right? And then I see that I'm not. This makes me like, wait, why? It doesn't make any sense for me, you know?
Wait, I have a better one like that. Now that we're already like sidestepping to other pet peeves or minor gripes with the game, and that is, why does a legendary have to be made from a legendary potential unique and an exalted item? Why does it have to be an exalted item? Why can I not choose to use a regular rare? Because the outcome will be worse, right? Why should I use a regular rare? It's to my own detriment. If I want to decide I use a regular rare, then I get a potentially worse outcome. So why can I not do that? I actually only learned that the other day because I thought, well, legendaries are just uniques and rares smashed together. You can use any rare. And then I found out, no, only purple rares, only if they're exalted. And now you modify your exalted item, right? And you're trying to free up a stat, for example, and then it removes the exalted stat. It's no longer exalted and you can't use it anymore. And a lot of the times I was trying for my second character, I wanted to make some low level uniques with legendary potential and just throw any stat on there to just see, right? And a lot of times my problem was just I don't have exalted items with the stats that I'd want, and I couldn't make my legendary because
that's what
didn't want to farm
before.
exalts.
I have a bunch of uniques that I want to use with LP, 1 LP, 2 LP, 3 LP, but I just don't have the exalts. And even then, you have your item, you have your 4 modifiers, you have double.
But I had a bunch of exalted items.
And at the end of the day, you throw it in the shit catalyst, whatever it's called, and you're still gonna roll tier 2 necrotic resistance on it and remove all the other mods. So in the end of the day, you still have a non-exalt mod on there.
Yeah,
well,
I don't know why. I think it's gonna be funny when I say this. But I think it's like that for lore reasons.
Honestly, I expected that answer. I was going to call that for flavor reasons.
Which I think it's fine. I think the point is you're not expected to slam a legendary until you are at the point where exalteds are dropping anyways. So they never assumed that you're gonna go and take a rare and slam it into it. They're like, oh, like you want to put good mods on your item, right?
Yeah, but you gamble like, and you're gonna get the shit mods anyways.
I know, but that's actually the whole. That's why the system is so much fun. I know it sounds weird when I say that, but like that's the RNG of crafting. That's why the crafting is so simple. Is for that fact. Is because that's our like equivalent of like essence spamming or whatever, like whatever crafting is. Like that's our RNG thing. Like when we use an annul orb on something, or like when we exalt slam, like that's our equivalent of RNG. That's what causes the chase. But yeah, like it is kind of funny.
Yeah, but there is no way to revert the legendary and remove the stat that you slam to get your item back, because sometimes, the problem that I have is, having a 1 LP item means that it's a 25% chance of success. That's what it is. Maybe a 50% if you have like a double tier 7.
Yeah, exactly. Right? You can have like 2 decent mods.
But the thing is, the rarer the item, the less LP will be on there. So let's say you find a red ring of Adleria and it has 1 LP, and you are like, I need to wait for the undisputed best item. So even if it picks the worst outcome, it's still useful in some form. And then good luck finding that exalt, because that's probably going to be rarer than the Ring of Adleria with 1 LP.
I think that
you never get a legendary
attempt at adding the end game gear grind, kind of like how, crafting mirror items in Path of Exile, it's like supposed to be the same like level of like crafting. It's like, oh, like I failed this time, I gotta go grind a billion to like get it again. And I think the biggest problem of all, like the biggest problem is, since the LP rates aren't in game, you have to go to a different website to find the LP rates. Like, oh, you wouldn't know that a Wings of Argentus has 115 LP requirement, meaning that it will never drop with 2 LP or more effectively, right? Like you can only ever plan around 1 LP unless you get insanely lucky. The problem is guild. Yeah, the problem, there is none. I checked. There's only 1 LP list. But so the problem becomes what people expect versus what people are actually going to get. So like, for instance, in PoE, when you see a 6 mod perfect tier implicit mirror item, right? That's possible in your mind because you know how to, like, you know that there will be eventually a way to craft it, whether that be through RNG or whatever, right? Like whatever you end up doing. But for Last Epoch, there are effectively unattainable items like a 2 LP Ravenous Void or a 3 LP, but the game doesn't inherently tell you that. It doesn't tell you that in game. It doesn't say like, hey, like good luck on finding like a, like a 2 LP Aurora's Time Glass, like have fun. Like it's 1 in like 50 billion. Get wrecked, nerd, right? It doesn't tell you that directly. So people come into the game and they think that like it is possible to get that 4 LP Aurora's Time Glass, which it really isn't, right? It just isn't. And since the game doesn't directly tell you that, people don't understand that like that 1 LP red ring of Valeria, that is the equivalent of dropping a mirror, right? Like that is like that's like a once in like a league thing or whatever, right? Or whatever it ends up being, unless you like target farm it. Like that's like the problem is the expectations are higher than what the results are actually going to be because of the way the LP system is. And people hype themselves up like, oh my God, I can't wait. Like I've seen plenty of planners, like 3 LP Ravenous Voids in them, like 4 LP Wings of Argentis. Like this is what I want to grind for. And then they go and actually grind for it and they get insanely disappointed.
Yeah, but then it's like also the other thing, then you have your 1 LP red ring, which you just said is like the equivalent of finding a mirror. And by the way, you have 14,000 hours in Path of Exile and still haven't dropped a mirror. It is insanely rare. For some people, it's
close.
For some people, it's rarer than for others. That's what I learned basically, right? But the thing is like, and then you don't want to merge it into a legendary because you're scared of ruining this one in a lifetime drop, you know? And there is no like, it would also be cool to have like, because the problem is legendaries or uniques in that case, they don't have LP, like they don't have forging potential. So I cannot change them. I cannot change the rolls. I cannot change anything, right? But imagine there would be a chance if there is a rune and there is like this kind of like mirror rune, right? And I actually found 2 already of those, which is like mirroring an item basically, right? So why would there not be like a same rarity kind of drop that lets me actually remove this one legendary and turn it back into this like prior state, like an imprint beast, where I say, hey, you know what? I screwed this one up, and I will farm for the other item that lets me revert my mistake and let me have another shot at it, you know? Because at the end of the day, I would probably, if I ever find a red ring, I would probably just keep it with 1 LP to just look at it and say like, ha, I didn't destroy it in the end of the day, right? It's useless, but I'm too scared of just breaking it, you know? And I would like, if I hit then like T1 fire resistance on my red ring, I would like literally, I'll log off the game. It's like what
for instance, for every ring, I just looked it up. For every ring that you ever drop, just every ring that you could ever drop, like if you see a unique ring on the ground, this is one of those instances. That would take at 100 corruption, at normal rarity, without any LP influence or anything like that, right? Without the Merchant's Guild, without COF, all that. It's just blanket values. 1 in 9,328 unique rings that drop, just unique rings, right? Not unique chests or anything, just unique rings, would be a 1 LP red ring of Valeria. So, like, essentially, like
good
the
luck.
chance. Good luck. So,
never happening.
900 and let's say like 310 divided by 1.
That's absolutely crazy.
Yeah, and it's like that's like the problem people have is they come in and they think that. Oh, one moment here. I'm sorry. I'm trying to do the math here. 1 divided by 9, 3, 10. Sure. That's a 0. It's a 0.01% chance of happening. So like essentially,
we're not talking about item drops. We're literally talking about unique drops, unique ring drops. And now think back, like you run echoes nonstop, and how many unique rings are you dropping? Like let's say 1 every 5, 6. So now you calculate. Oh, I need like 9,500. So that's like 40,000 echoes completed to get probably 1 ring of that.
That's even if you see that many. Yeah, it's like
exactly. Yeah,
and that's like the problem is since the game does not tell you this directly, the expectations are significantly more than they should be. Like for instance, if you drop a 1 LP red ring of Valeria, you literally take it and you put it in your stash, and then you just like take a screenshot of it and post it on Reddit for free karma. You don't touch it. You just leave it there. It's like
if you have the game knowledge to even know what that thing is. Because if I wouldn't have watched your video with Alweezy with his 20k werebear, I wouldn't even know what the red ring is. So I'm new to the game. I'll play CUF. I drop this red ring and I'll just look at it and I'm like, throw it on a stash or even vendor it because like whatever it is, you know, if you don't have the knowledge of knowing what item is worth what and how rare it is and what is actually what insane I just found that I didn't even realize. And that's also one of the reasons why I did not pick the Merchant's Guild, because if you don't know what stuff is worth, you know, you kind of lose basically, right? But maybe I found already an item that is crazy to other people that are knowledgeable in the game, and I was like, throw it back on the ground and pour it out because it doesn't look good to me. And you're like, bro, what the fuck? You're so pretty. I'm
that's honestly,
stream, man. I'm done.
That's honestly the other side of the coin. Why, like, as a new player, you don't want to play merchants, because A, you need to know what you want, and B, you need to know what other people want.
Yeah, exactly.
I like what C2 Gaming said. Is the argument here that there shouldn't be tier 0 uniques? No, that is not the argument. The argument is the game should tell you how fucking rare it is. Like, if it drops like that, it should tell you how rare it is to get this. Like, it should literally, if you hover over an item, okay? This would ruin the mystique and all that. Obviously, it ruined the fun, because imagine if they did this in PoE. But if you hold Alt on the item, it'll tell you the rate and the drop chance of it, right? If that wasn't enough, then I don't know what would be, right? But the problem is they can't do that because that wouldn't be fun, right?
Yeah, but there is still omega ultra rare items that are mediocre at best.
Yeah.
So yeah, even if it's rare, it might still not be useful because it's like a super off-meta build. So, you know.
Yeah. My question will be: is there any ARPG that actually tells you how rare an item it is? Because I can't really think of any single ARPG out there that does that. Like even the Headhunter or Mage Blood or even the Mirror Drops doesn't tell you with the default filter. We as a player or community that set the things to Ching or red and white. So was that necessary?
It's not. But what the problem is with the way that the LP system goes. Like, you see that it has 1 LP, 2 LP, 3 LP, 4 LP. You see that it is technically possible. You know that it is technically, on a technical level, you would technically eventually see a 4 LP Ravenous Void. And that's just an experience, right? Knowing how LP stuff works, right? Like, it's just an experience not knowing, right? And it's like the same equivalent of like seeing that a Mage Blood could drop double corrupted. It could, I believe, right? In certain circumstances. So that's what I'm expecting for. That's like the same equivalent to this, right? And since the LP is so readily, easily seen, right? Like, you see LP all the time, right? You're like, oh, like, I see LP all the time. Why wouldn't a 4 LP Ravenous Void drop? Right? That's not like why wouldn't I assume that isn't in the game, right? And since, like when you drop a Mage Blood, you don't see that it's double corrupted, right? You can't, like, you can assume.
Well, yeah, it drops an identified, so you see that.
Yeah, exactly.
But it could also be a rare belt with a Mage Blood skin, which tells you that the Mage Blood dropped, but it just got bricked.
Well, but I guess the point that we're trying to drive home here, if I may paraphrase what I believe you are saying, is that it's unintuitive that legendary potential works different on different uniques, because if we go with the Path of Exile analog, that would mean that different items have different likelihoods for the same corruption outcomes. Like to get hatred effect and cast speed on a Mage Blood is harder than to get it on a Headhunter. And that is just super unintuitive for a player to be able to anticipate if it works like that, when the things look exactly the same in the way that they work.
Yeah, and that's like the problem is, like, LE is very simple and very easy for the most part to understand at the beginning, right? Like, you start it, everything makes sense. There's a game guide, you can read it. And then it like gives you a curveball like that, where it's like, oh yeah, you didn't know that like a 1 LP Ravenous Void takes like 3 billion drops of unique gloves? You didn't know that? Like, you didn't? Like, you know, like it swaps between very simple to insanely complicated and dumb, like very quickly, like when it comes to that, right? Like for instance, a perfect example is like normal crafting in this game is normal. Okay, like it's easy to understand. You start doing it, it makes sense. Like you get exalted items, that makes sense. And then you get into experimental crafting. And experimental crafting is like the equivalent of old synthesis implicit, like shenaniganry, like where you combine it in the machine, right? If you've ever been in Synthesis League, that is essentially like Glyph of Insight. So it's the problem is like in PoE, the game is complicated enough to like that's the point, is the game is complicated, right? But in Last Epoch, it lulls you into a sense of security, thinking that like, oh, the game's simple, there's nothing crazy. And then it hits you with the curveball. It's like, and then you get the Glyph of Insight math, and then you get like stuff like that. Then you get the LP stuff, right? And that's like the problem, is it's inconsistent.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I just noticed we've been already going for quite some time. So if you want to bring up any more pet peeves, I think we've all had our fair share. Maybe HFOX still came up with something.
I do have one more. Yeah, I do have one more. It is that the tooltips is very unintuitive, because every time when I grab something from the ground, or if, let's say, if it adds flat damage, I want to know how much that actually affects me. But if I'm playing a minion build, which happens on Path of Exile as well, I know, but stuff like that, I just can't really see whether that affects all of my skill or some of my skills. And then the same goes for critical strike chance from a passive, from the skill passive. I don't exactly know how much that increased my chance. I see my yellow damage goes up a lot more, but how much does that actually affect me? And we only have one global kind of modifiers, but not per skill, and I find that really annoying.
Yeah, like for instance, like you probably don't know this, but did you know that every minion has its own base damage? That you have
I would
to
assume
look up
so.
for? Yeah, well,
I would
but
assume
they're
so.
drastically different from each minion. It's drastically different. Like some minions have 20 flat as their base damage, and some have 100. So like knowing the relative value of that affix that you just got with the minion flat is completely weird. Like it's like for instance, when you see a weapon drop and you compare it to your other weapon, like that makes sense, right? But you can't do that because the minion tooltips aren't in game. You have to go to a third-party website to figure out what this minion actually has. Like for instance, if I'm playing Skeletal Warriors and I drop an item that gives them 20 melee flat, the game doesn't tell me that that would literally double the damage of the minion. Literally double, like 100% more damage modifier. You wouldn't know that, now would you?
No.
And there's probably other minions that are a lot stronger, where the like 20 flat damage is like a 10% damage increase, and you feel like you don't even notice it, you know?
Yep.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and that's the problem that you're finding.
And the other thing, because I was playing a Warlock, I think the damned chance was not actually on there with all the elements. Like every single thing, like poison, ignite, bleed, those are on there. But in damned chance, I have no idea how much I have. And I can't tell from my skill either.
So they do know about that. The reason why that isn't fixed is because they're remaking the whole system. They're still remaking that system, like the character sheet and all that. They're still remaking it, and they just haven't done it yet. Like they're still in the process of making that. At least that's what we've been told. So that's why like it hasn't been updated since then, is because they're still working on it.
Same as with like totems and minions, because you see minions in your sheet, but you don't see totems. So if you get a 10% and totem scale of both minion and totem stuff, you know, so 10% totem damage is the same as 10% minion damage. But in the sheet, I see 10% minion damage. But if I have 20% critical strike chance to totems, I don't see anything because there is no totem listed whatsoever. You know they are both scaling the same, but you don't see it. So you can have all the totem damage in the world, and you open your minion spreadsheet, and you're like, wait, there is no way to check that, right? Which is not really the most necessary. Like one thing that I also encountered, which gives me a hard time, is how do skills change based on different skills? And I want to point out one thing, and if you haven't played it, it's probably hard to understand, but Primalist is all about lightning blast or lightning bolts, basically. You know, you have the Swarm Blade. You know, you have the Swarm Blade with Tornado that can shoot out lightning blast. You have Maelstrom that can shoot out lightning blast. You can the Werebear. You know, it's like many different rampage thing. You know, there's shit tons of things. You know, but then there is this new skill that they introduced for the Primalist. It's called Gathering Storm, which is a combo attack from like a melee function as well as Storm Bolts. Okay. But there is certain points where I can skill damage increase on the Gathering Storm tree that will affect the Storm Bolts that I proc with Maelstrom. you know, but not all of them are doing that. And there is like it's a wording thing sometimes, because if it says Gathering Storm, it only affects that. If it says you're Stormbolt something, and if it says Gathering Storm and Stormbolt, it also works for something else, but not for the other one. So it is very complicated to figure out. And basically what you can do is you go to the target dummy, you unspec these points, which you then basically cannot respec because you first need to kill a bunch of monsters to get the skill points back, right? But the essential idea is, I skill that, I go to the target, or I hit the target dummy with X amount of damage. I say, hey, I have 5k crit, so I'm skilling that 5 points into this node in Gathering Storm, and I do the exact same Rampage skill that procs Thunders, and I see like, wait, they're now critting for 8,000. So that actually works, you know? So this like, skills do interact with each other, but they're not really telling that, you know? Because for me, it is like, hey, if I put points into Gathering Storm, it will make Gathering Storm better, but not anything else. But that's not true.
That's like half my job, though. In BX, that's like half my job right now.
Yeah, but I remember
you'll find a new one. There's plenty of things to explain.
The thing that I wrote you the other day on Discord, right?
Yeah.
Or did I whisper Alweezy about it? But the thing is, like, some things work and some don't. But for me as a player, and I wouldn't say I'm an unexperienced player in the ARPG.
You play Path of Exile, for God's sakes, right?
Like, you know, so I do understand things. But the thing is, like, I'm like a player. I want to understand things. It's not like, hey, I've just copied Dread and character works. I did 500 corruption and hey, I'm a happy man. No, I want to know, why do I do so much damage? What are the factors? And up to this point, for example, my Lightning Blast Rune Master, which is your typical, let's say, arc character in PoE, pretty much, with Impulsor. That's pretty much it, right? I have no idea if crit multi, like, let's say I have a legendary, and I have the chance. Do I get armor shred on it? Do I get crit multi on it? Do I get a critical strike on it? Like in PoE, we have path of building. I import my character, I go into config, and I just add 100 crit multi, or I don't know, any other stat that would probably benefit my character. And I see, based on the calculations, that crit multi is just better. And I know I go for crit multi. That's the decision that I make. In Last Epoch, I have no clue. You know, I don't know if Armor Shred is currently better than Crit Multi or Critical Strike Chance, or maybe Flat Damage is the way to go because my Flat Damage is garbage. I don't know about that. And since there is no kind of like tool like PUB, I have a very hard time getting the scaling of my character right. Pretty much the same as H-Fox said with his minions, right? Like, there is no indicators. There is no like tooltip information where it says like, hey, every point here would give you 30% damage, so I can go to another skill point where it gives me like 30 crit multi per skill point. It says like, yo, that's a 90% damage increase. So no, oh shit, dude, my character is full of crit but no multi, so I need multi. There's just no way of figuring out. This is giving me a hard time, and this is probably the exact reason why I have a hard time pushing corruption 300, while Dread is like, bro, I'm 700. This game is easy, because he knows I don't, and I have no way to figure it out either. Yeah, this is the thing.
I believe there's another problem is similar to what you said about Gathering Storm. I find it really hard for Tempest Strike as well. There are a lot of notes it says Tempest Strike, but does that mean it affects both the actual strike, the melee part, and the Tempest part, or does it only affect one part of the Tempest Strike? And some part of the skill tree does mention Tempest, some part of the skill tree does mention Strike. Those are fine. But when it specifically mentioned Tempest Strike, what does it refer? And this kind of happens in the newer skill as well. And I'm having a hard time.
Specifically, if it says Tempest, it only works for the Tempest. If it says Tempest Strike, it means the Strike and the Tempest. And then if it says Tempest Strike Melee, then it means only the melee.
The melee portion of the strike, okay.
Yeah.
I feel like we've had to figure stuff out like this in PoE as well in the past, right? But like we're just at a point where we know these things, right? And then with Last Epoch, it's just everything works a little bit different. And in general, like you guys already pointed out, the game is very accessible, but there's just some points where there's an inconsistent complexity where all of a sudden the game is very obscure and very complex. And I hope that they're able to alleviate that in the past. I personally have like, I think 2 examples for that myself where I couldn't figure out where I can find my throwing crit chance, because in the character sheet it says melee attack speed, bow attack speed, throwing attack speed, and it says melee crit chance, bow crit chance, but there's no throwing crit chance. So I guess it just says your regular crit chance, because there's a crit chance without anything, which just says crit chance. And I guess that was the one that applied to throwing attacks.
Yeah, that's sadly the moment where you have to bring out the calculator. You have to like go and find all the sources and then figure it out.
Oh wait, so you can't take the regular crit chance? You actually have to calculate the throwing crit chance.
You need to go and figure it out, because there's like it depends. It depends on what, like, you have to remember all of the sources of crit chance that you're getting. Okay, you have to remember where they are. You have to remember them, right? It's fine for me because I've been doing this for so long, but for like you got to go remember it. Like, for instance, you got to remember, oh, I have throwing crit chance at the top of Paladin. Okay, I got to remember that. Oh, I have a peak of the mountain. That's 300%. All right, I got to remember that. And then I got to remember all these things. And then I got to make sure I remember them for when I calculate it in the calculator. And then I get what I want. Yeah, what Spookyology said. It will show you your base in that planner, but if you have buffs, it will not. So you have to calculate the buffs, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say the buffs, because they don't. Some of the time you can't make them permanently, and it just fluctuates a lot. And I want to know how much that buffs actually buff me, and I can never really seems to be able to tell. Because was that just a lucky crit that I've got a few good lucky ones and it crits a lot more than usual, or was it that buff that is contributing in that many kind of crits? So yeah, it's just a bit hard at times. But then I don't think POB is the answer for PoE, because I really dislike that argument as well. I know it is good that we have a tool for it, but that shouldn't be the way either.
Yeah, like for instance, in Slaughtermancer, they have a gigantic character sheet with multiple pages, and every single stat is there in that sheet. If you need to figure out, oh, what's my rebound chance for projectiles? Like, oh, and look, it's right there. Every single stat that could ever exist is there. And that's like what I would want on my character sheet. And then like what in PoE, you know how you can like click on a skill and see its specific stats, right? That's another thing I would like as well. If I click on Tempest Strike, what is its crit chance, right? I want to see its specific crit chance based on everything that it has and stuff like that. And that's like what I would want if they were to do that.
I'm just
but then it will be so hard. Sorry. Go on.
No, go ahead, man.
I said, but then that will be so hard, because for Tempest Strike, for example, you have 3 different type of melee and then 3 different Tempest, so that's 6 skills. And then imagine you're a Rune Master. The Invoker alone is like 40 skills. And imagine how much of a scroll you have to scroll through every single one to find the skill.
They would have to make an exception for that one. But yeah, go ahead, MBX. What were you gonna say?
Dude, I was just thinking. Imagine nobody would have PUB from now on, okay? And what you have to do to figure out if a build is good, that you actually have to play it. Imagine, like, because now, based on the experience that I have with the game, right, in PoE now. So I'm having a build idea. I'm just, like, spending 4 or 5 hours. I mean, in the end of the day, when you are, like, a good PoE player, you're probably spending more time in PoB than actually playing the game, because all you do is like min-maxing and solve puzzles and try to figure out how things work. So I make my generic planner, you know, because I don't want to spend all the currency in game and waste my time testing if I can just do it in the planner, right? And then I yada yada yada, do my settings, blah blah blah, and then I see, wait, my damage is shit. My EHP is actually terrible. You know what? I don't even have to try this build. Forget it, right? But thinking about not having PoB. And you literally have to think like, hey, I want to try this build. And you literally level it up, you gear it, and you spend so much time. And then you're like, bro, this build is garbage.
I played Warlock and I went through 3 different Warlock builds till I found the one I wanted to play.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, like, we are so blessed to actually have PoB, that we have these tools to see. Because based on, like, also experience, it's like, you know what a decent EHP is, you know, when you load up some viewers PoB and it shows like 7,000 EHP, and I'm like, bro, what are you doing with that build, by the way? Because you're gonna die non-stop wherever you're going, right?
You're gonna fall over.
Because you know, like, hey, it's like a 50, 60,000 EHP should be like nice, or at least like 40,000 something. It's still gonna be squishy. But if you see the shit numbers, then you're like instantly, dude, a monster just has to look at you and you're dead, you know. Or you also know the damage. If the damage says like 1.5 million fully buffed, you're like, bro, are you gonna farm T1 maps or T2, or do you try getting this built into yellow tier maps? I mean, we're not talking about endgame, because a million DPS, what is that, you know? But in LE, I just don't have the chance. I don't know how much damage my character is doing. And the target dummies doesn't help either, because, you know, I'm creating those for 100k. I go in the map, I crit 5k, and I'm like, bro, where's my damage?
So for
like
that, there is nomenclature. So a rule of thumb right now is if you hit for 100k on the dummy in normal empowered monos with no mods whatsoever, you will hit for 10k. If you hit for 50k, you'll hit for 5k. Just divide it by 10. That's like a rule of thumb. It's not always correct, obviously, but like that is like what has been the, it seems like it's like a 90% less damage taken modifier at empowered monos or something like that. It's something like that. And that's like,
give me an empowered mono target dummy. There's like 20
exactly
there.
Exactly.
There is 20 there. Just give me one that is empowered.
Yeah,
it makes me think of World of Warcraft. There is like an area where there's like 10 different target dummies. One is for like dungeons, one is for raiding, one is an endgame boss, one is actually strikes back. And so I can choose, hey, I want to test my build into like this target dummy because this is where I'm currently farming. Like, I don't care what I do on like freaking Twilight Strand on a level 2 zombie, because I'm never going to see this guy again. I could crit him for 1 million. I don't care. I'm running tier 16 maps, you know?
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah, it is definitely like eldritch knowledge knowing that. It's like, oh, it's like you have to play for a while to understand. Like you gotta go hit the dummy, then go hit a mob, hit the dummy, hit the mob. Make sure you're doing the same exact thing with no difference, right? Hit the dummy, hit the mob. You eventually figure it out, but it takes a while, obviously.
But this is, it always comes down to the same fact, and it's all about knowledge, no matter what. And the more you're enjoying a game, the more you're going to play and the more knowledge you're going to build up. Because it's the same, like, you know, and we're talking here about Last Epoch, how we, like me and HFog and Catmaster, have problems doing our calculations properly while being PoE players. Like, this is like a little bit a step ahead, right? But on the other hand, how many hours do we have in PoE and how many hours do we have in Last Epoch? If I would have like 3,000 hours in Last Epoch, I would probably be like really good at the game already. And I would know which builds I like, because at this time, I probably played 100 different builds and I figured out already what are my preferred playstyles. Because at the moment, I don't know. That's why my builds are so like hilariously different from, you know, totem character into a cold dot werebear build, into a lightning blast enigma build, into probably next one is going to be a minion, because I, like in PoE, I played 200 different builds and I kind of got the idea of which builds I enjoyed more than others. So I know what I want to play, right? But I'm like still in this like researching phase where I just want to play every build possible just to get a feeling what is possible in the game. Which builds do I like more? Because I don't want to, like, yeah, I could spend like 200 hours on my Rune Master now and perfect it, but that's not the point. It's not like where I play the game, right? And
you know what I want to get better at? So I want to get better at being able in the monolith to tell which part of the map I can actually step on and which part of the map is impassable terrain.
I still have that problem. I still have that problem.
Yep.
It's so hard sometimes, especially with the spires. You see the big blast charging up and you want to dash away. It's like, oh, wait, no, I can't go that far that way. I'm dead. The spires are like, the timing is really spicy balance. I mean, it works if you play it well, but if you get a little bit distracted, oh, there's an item on the ground, let me look at, oh no, I'm dead. It's like, you can't look at items on the ground, and I hope that in the future that they don't implement, they don't go the same route as Path of Exile. They implement like 1,000 things and NPCs and encounters in the maps that you need to interact with while you're getting off screen. But yeah, I don't want to open really another huge topic.
Yeah, I think I'm good to go.
Yeah, we should round things off here. Okay, you can have the closing topic. I give mine up.
What impact does currently Last Epoch have in the ARPG genre?
That's a good closing one.
I can't really tell you because, like,
hey, I said HFOG.
Yeah. Oh,
unless you want to leave. You want to leave?
No. You can go ahead.
HFOG.
I think it has a lot of impact in the RPG genre. It tells that a game doesn't have to always start complicated, and also it doesn't need a lot of endgame content from the beginning. You can ease people into different stuff, but at the same time, they also shows that trading, as much as most ARPG try to do apart from it, it just keeps coming back to the point that there will always be players that wants trading regardless of what genre you're playing. As long as you can play with friends, you should be able to trade. And I strongly feel that this is the case that they're trying to make. And I think that is, well, I won't say I think, we can see that it has an impact on PoE 2 already. And I think the competition will drive a lot of good stuff for both PoE and Last Epoch and ARPG as a general, because it shows that people really, really wants to play different build. And that I feel is more of the essence of ARPG instead of just farming or target farming for better and better gear, min-maxing. That can be one part of the gameplay, but most people start off with very, very wild ideas, and allowing players to do wild ideas, I think that's the thing. Yeah.
Should I go next? Because I'm going to do the closing thing anyway. So I'll just say, I think that two things. It has once again proven that you don't need to be a big $1 million company with a huge development studio and everything to make a good game. This game has been made. They don't even, sorry. As far as I know, they don't even have a studio. That they work intercontinental. Everyone works at home. They do online conferences, and it's remarkable what they have been able to do with their small guerrilla tactics team to make an ARPG that leaves this lasting impact and shows everyone how it's done, and even like showing Blizzard how it's done. Because arguably in many aspects, I do think that Last Epoch is the game that D4 wanted to be.
What? You didn't log in for Gauntlets? You didn't log in for the Gauntlet? What the heck?
I logged in for all the meme tweets about the Gauntlets. Dude, every time something D4 related gets announced nowadays, Lily just reposts it on Twitter and says, "This is the greatest thing ever." Anyway, so yeah, Diablo 4, obviously, what's the word? Schooled by Last Epoch, and I also do think that they do exert a fair bit of pressure on Path of Exile and on the giant in the space, especially in terms of accessibility. Because I don't know, when I earlier asked about how the game performed in contrast to your expectations prior to launch, you guys, or we all answered with our personal experience in the game, but what I was more aiming at was like how it sold and how high the player count went. And I personally didn't think that it was going to go that high.
It went like 20 billion times better than I thought. Like, as soon as I saw there was like 200K people playing, I like lost my shit. I was like, holy shit, honey, come here, look, the game that I've been spending my life on for the past 4 years, it's actually doing well. Look,
it's actually blowing up. It's crazy. And I did think that they have a really good shot at making a lasting impact with the game in the RPG space in the time following release, but that they would exceed the all-time player count peak for Path of Exile on Steam on their very first release, despite these massive server infrastructure problems that we've been experiencing.
Can I add a little bit more statistic on this? They actually surpassed 2022 all-time, like from both clients for Path of Exiles as well. 26,000 is, I think it's like 2,000 more than the PoE 2022 statistic. They've only lost to the 2023 statistic. It is how high that they have come. And that is what impressed me by a lot.
No, there's not true, because there is still quite a percentage. Because Last Epoch, I mean, now
is Steam only.
Is Steam only, And while PoE, there is still a lot of like, especially old school players that play on the standalone client that are not.
No, that is both client. That is both client from the 2023 recap of the GGG's post. If you read it, they'll give you the exact number.
Yeah, but what about all the people from China?
Well, I can't say ignore it, but
what I'm
global. Okay, we just
it doesn't matter whether Path of Exile has more players overall. That's not the point I'm trying to make. Just on Steam, Last Epoch outperformed a game that's been going for 10 years and has done so many right things and has defined so many standards in the ARPG realm, and it's remarkable that they were able to exceed that number on such.
Like, I'm a bit like pessimistic about that, because when Red said, "Oh, they reached 200,000," like I would have not wondered if we had seen 500,000. And this sounds completely crazy to Dread, maybe, right? But I was thinking, okay, the game release time was perfect. Diablo 4, the last season was like not really a success, right? It is the end of the PoE league. All the ARPG players have absolutely nothing to do then, hey, I mean, everybody's playing Last Epoch right now, so I mean, I don't have anything else to do. I'll be waiting for 3.24 at PoE League. So they had the perfect timing of releasing the game. And when I heard names, big names like Asmongold, like the other day, like, hey, I know I want to play Last Epoch, but I want to like contain all my ARPG fever for the release, and I'm going to play. And when Asmongold with his like army comes and plays Last Epoch, for example, because I've seen videos what he's doing when he's just regularly logging into any World of Warcraft server where there's like 20,000 people trying to log into that server at the same time and they just crash everything, right? And when there's so many big names joining, as well as every like 90% of every PoE content creator stepped into Last Epoch, 90% of Diablo content creators are stepping to Last Epoch. That's why I say, like, based on just those numbers, I wouldn't have been like, I wouldn't have been surprised, let's say it like that. I think actually 260,000 people is quite low. I expected actually even more than that, you know?
I mean, to be fair, it's also 216,000 people sitting in the loading screen waiting.
That is the other thing, because I really had some Volson flashbacks, because in the start I was joking, but on day 3 still having login problems. I'm like, remember when I made this joke about Volson release? Like, we're getting there.
Wait, is your point if they were not waiting in the loading screen, we would have seen a higher peak? Or if they had actually not been waiting in the loading screen and seen the actual game, they would have left?
I went to take a nap. I went to take a nap. I literally went to take a nap on day 1. Like, imagine all the people that just said, fuck this, and went and did other things, right?
Yeah, no. I was joking, obviously.
The thing is, like,
definitely higher.
My point of view, like this kind of like impact thing that I was referring to, is like, I just hope that Last Epoch is a major success, you know, not only for me, just literally for everybody. And not only because we want to have good games out there. I feel like at the moment, and this is coming from somebody that is freaking loving PoE, right? I would love if we would have more and better games out there. And I would love to see Diablo 4 successful.
Yeah, I agree.
And not because I want to see or play Diablo 4, but the thing is, like, I feel like Path of Exile is so much better than everything else on the market that they don't have competition, right? This is the way I see. And when there is a game that doesn't really have competition, it starts to get worse, because we can do whatever we want because people are just going to play it anyways, right? And we've seen that in World of Warcraft. You know, World of Warcraft has been for the longest time and years over years, and everybody said this is going to be World of Warcraft killer, this is going to be the next World of Warcraft killer. Nobody beat it, you know, but they got so like in their own like universe, basically, that they just didn't give a fuck anymore, because everybody's playing our game anyway. We can do whatever we want. And now see, they dropped from like 13 million people playing to like, what is it now? 1.5 million? Like, you know, and I'm like a bit scared that when PoE stays on the top, and really on the top for longer and longer and longer, you know, that they just get into a rhythm where they say, yeah, like, we're just going to extend another league because we don't have pressure anyways. And it, you know, so I would love to see LE successful and Diablo 4 successful and many other games successful. First of all, I love the RPG genre, and in my PoE off days, or when I'm burned out because I played like 50 days nonstop, 10 hours every day, at some point I just don't log in PoE anymore because I'm just burned out, you know, but I don't have anything else to play because usually the other game's just not that good, right? So I would love to see all these games super successful, that there is like a good competition there and everybody tries to be better than the other and brings new innovative ideas and stuff like that. And I think it's just healthy and it just will make better games for all of us.
Yeah, I think for the longest time before 1.0 hit and like everyone came around, right? LE was cultivating a very large, like at the time, like this was a small group of people, right? In the grand scheme of things. But the community was starting to slant towards the kind of like Oonga Boonga, I hate PoE crowd, and I'm playing this game because I hate PoE. That was growing a lot back in the day. And it kind of made me feel awkward because I'm just sitting here like, I love both games. I want to play both games. I play both games. Like, I'm not going to cultivate a PoE hate chat in my channel. Like, go away, right? But now that everyone else, all the PoE people are finally here, I'm like, oh, finally we can talk about real things. It's like, yes, you can play both games at once and enjoy them and want both games to succeed. It's like a breath of fresh air after 4 years of that.
And I'm still trying to educate every one of my viewers that coming in. Yo, what is better, LE or PoE? Like, what is the point of what is better? It doesn't even matter what is better. It's just a question, what do you enjoy more? That's the one that you play and have fun, you know? Like, I hate when people are still comparing everything and they have to, like, all this like new player generation, like, hey, my playtime is valuable, so I want to know exactly what I play. And if MBX is the golden king and says PoE is better, then I don't even care about Last Epoch because, hey, MBX said PoE is better. You know, like this, dude, I could like so like tilt about like these kind of things where I'm like,
keep it for the next podcast.
I have one more thing I want to say.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. I have one more thing I want to say because the question was specifically towards ARPG, but then I think EHG did something more than just like what will transfer to other games as well, because it is so rare to see a company that actually listen to the community feedback. A lot of the companies will just recognize, like acknowledge there's a problem and then do nothing with it. But ESG constantly putting out survey, like what we see just from yesterday, or even from the items factions, they put out survey, they try to solve problem, and solving problems actually brings in new players and brings attention and brings marketing for, because the first thing most people talk about Last Epoch before launch was actually the item faction, which comes from them try to not have a trade system. But then after that, they decide they will have an item faction, and that becomes such a huge talking point, and it explodes from so many biggest names. So hopefully other games can also take a page from that to listen to the community feedback and then try to innovate on the problem while they try to solve it.
I am afraid to say any more because I do need to eventually move on.
Sorry. Yeah, I think this is a great cutting off point. We've greatly depleted ourselves, and I love you all, and I'd love to sit here longer with you and talk about this, but I always feel these podcasts are best left on a high note when that feeling is still there, when when not everyone is like, oh, I'm so done with this, I want to go home.
Yeah, screw you, MBX, get out of here.
Yeah. Also, may I remind you, MBX, you're the one who told me you can't stay up until 4 a.m. because you're an old man, and now you didn't let me finish for 20 minutes.
That means we still have like 1 hour and 11 minutes to go, like 3:59.
No, great. I'm gonna drop the topic that I really wanted to discuss still. I want to thank you guys for coming on and discussing all these topics. I really greatly enjoyed the conversation. I learned a lot of new stuff, and I think it was great that we came together in this at a little bit unusual constellation. I don't think we've been on a podcast like this before. That's great. Would you like to give yourself a shout out or tell people where they can find you, what they can expect from you, or whatever, drive them to something that you would like to shout out before we completely finish this?
My name is MB Extreme, and if you want to follow me, this is what I look from behind. Okay, that's all I have to say.
That was if you want to see where I'm at, I'm DR3 Edful on YouTube. I make a lot of Last Epoch content. Odds are, you type in Last Epoch, you'll find me. Don't worry, you'll find my thumbnail. And on Twitch, I'm the same, but with double underscore at the end because everyone steals my name. But yeah, even though it's Leet Speak.
If you are listening or watching to the podcast on YouTube, the names are linked in the title. So you can just click yourself through from the name to the various links that you have on your YouTube. HFOC, what can we expect from you? When is the next coverage for the PoE 2 stuff happening?
Oh, I'm still trying to edit it, but then it is just the real life schedule has been really fluctuated with me during, like, for my work. But let's cut that short. If you want to follow me and know a bit more about PoE 2, or especially if you're a Chinese or Cantonese speaker, you can follow me on YouTube at Big Chef. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, thank you for having me as well.
Thank you for coming. It was great. And to all you listeners, thank you for sitting through these 160 minutes of podcast and listening. Thanks for the raids from Perry the Pig. And prior to that, we had Pillebrille from the German community. Oh, Dread's link is wrong. I'll correct that. I'm sorry. Dread's link apparently is wrong. I did something wrong. Oh, God. Yeah. So if you've joined during the podcast, you want to listen to it in full, you can rewind on YouTube. It will be live on there. I will re-upload it to the FATED ARPG podcast channel on YouTube, and it will be available as video on Spotify and as audio on other podcast platforms. And we will do more podcasts, so make sure you like, subscribe, help everything that you could do to support the algorithm. We should have ended an hour ago. I would have been able to speak properly still. No. It was too good. I wouldn't want to have it any other way because especially the last 40 minutes, there was some juicy stuff. But if you hear nothing else from me, then the next Faded will be Saturday, 23rd of March, 2024, probably 11 p.m. GMT again. And this will be after the 21st, on which we get all the PoE Necropolis information. So there's going to be tons of stuff to talk about, and we're probably going to do like 2 or 3 episodes before the league just to discuss all the teasers and get through all the infos, inform you about the best league starters and strategies that we see emerging from the information as it unfolds. And other than that, thank you to the ones who've been subscribing and supporting financially. You are shown on the end screen, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Happy gaming.
I know a lot of people want to send blankets or water. Just send your cash.
Lol.